You're served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals, but I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice. I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times, when we were more active and ate more healthy foods, and you checked on me every once in a while? Is that too much to ask? I don't want to leave, but unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get her ass!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
They play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Beatty.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was. You're a never was.
It is the 15th of November. Wow. Very fluent, Speedy. I like that. 631, yes, ladies and gentlemen, 672-3108 is the number to call. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays here only by going to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. I am your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Speeder. We are The Loudmouth. Speedy, what's up?
Well, very travel-lagged and a little tired. Did not sleep well, unfortunately. Wasn't feeling great, but had a fun weekend in Boston. Unfortunately,
I never sleep, Speedy.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're used to it. 95% of the world.
I'm a giant zombie.
Yes. You're again, 95% of the world does not function on no sleep like you do.
I don't know how I do it. I really don't. How do I do a 3-hour show?
It's a super,
I do.
Supernatural.
I am supernatural. I have a superpower. All I need is like Superman powers. If I could fly and shoot like rays out of my eyes, I mean, I'd be unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
and unresistible. Unresistible. I almost, you see, I messed up with the word right there. It's really good.
You're a superhero. You can get away with it.
What is this? 87. What is this? 867-5309?
From the song. From the song.
Oh, but did you have fun in Boston?
Yes, I did have fun in Boston. My brother Ryan actually got a new apartment about a month ago. His two roommates were out and away. One of them was Hawaii. One of them was in Portugal. We celebrated both my dad's and my brother's girlfriend's birthday. We kind of transformed every potential game imaginable into some variation of beer pong. It was pretty funny.
Oh, how do you play?
It was depending on what game it was. Like there were different concepts within. Like some of them were like card games, some of them were other types of games. And like you add all right, you take a shot. You get one shot for each of.
Did you throw up?
No, I did not.
So you only throw up when I take you.
No. Yeah, because I'm not as good in the daytime.
Oh, so you're like a vampire. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not as good in the
You're a vampire drinker. Who's ever heard about that?
That's a good way to put it. That's actually a really good way
there
to
we
put
go.
it.
He's a vampire drinker.
That's an excellent way to put it.
You're the vampire drinker.
Yeah, I'm not as good at the daytime. Like after 6 o'clock or so, yeah, I'm good.
How wonderful. At 8:30, we will be talking to Hall of Famer point guard. He played for the Warriors. He played for the Heat, the Mavericks, the Nuggets, and the Pacers. Tim Hardaway. Can't wait for this one. First time on our show. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to co-founder of All 22 Premium Fantasy Football, Ray Cotto. He's been on our show before. Very excited to have him on. We haven't had him on for over a year.
Since the draft.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So Ray knows a lot about, obviously, fantasy and even draft. So we will get into a little bit of football with Ray a little bit later in the show.
And Beavy's a Dallas Cowboy fan.
There he goes. I mean, obviously, I know there's a lot of Cowboy haters out there. Well, as we call them, the Cowgirls. And the Snuggy Wuggy over there is not a big Cowboy fan. He is a Patriot fan. He's a Tom Brady lover, as he calls him, the Godo. I don't know what the Godo is. Maybe he's the Goat Ball man.
Snug, I want to know what catting around refers to.
Well, he is catting around, that's for sure. Let's get into it. Trevon Diggs takes shots at Josh Allen, saying he wasn't a great quarterback until Stefon Diggs got there. Very interesting. I have no idea why Diggs is even speaking up. He's not even playing. He's out with an ACL tear. He's not coming back until next year, but he has to be a part of the press. I guess he should be writing now. He should be writing for the Cowboys, or maybe we'll call it Cowgirl Magazine. You know,
maybe we could ask our friend RJ Ochoa if Trevon Diggs will have a spot on his blog.
That's good. I definitely believe he would let him come on his blog.
Of course,
absolutely. DeShaun Watson will get right shoulder surgery and miss the rest of the season. As we all know, DeShaun Watson has not had a very good season. Walker's actually outplayed him every time he's been on the field. So we can see the situation for what it is. DeShaun Watson's not having a very good season, and he is going to sit out. And maybe in the offseason, the Browns find a way to get rid of that contract. Maybe they trade him wherever Robert Kraft is running that organization.
Robert Kraft will specifically buy a second NFL team just to have Deshaun Watson.
It would make a lot of sense why he would bring Deshaun Watson in. I mean, Mac Jones is not doing what he wants, so maybe Deshaun will. He'll be his handheld partner.
Oh, yeah. That's one way to put it.
Circle jerk. Anyways, ESPN reports that the Cardinals could stick with Kyler Murray beyond the season. So I do believe it. If Kyler Murray has a good second half and he plays very well, why would they draft a quarterback? It doesn't make any sense. And also, you're going to have to trade away that contract. So it wouldn't make any sense. You can go after like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that. Add that wide receiver, that real dominant wide receiver, which they've been craving since Christian Kirk's been gone. So Christian Kirk has been pretty good with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was one that didn't think that was going to happen.
No, I didn't.
But he's been fantastic. He really has been. Reports say that Connor McDavid has been, let's make it serious. I don't even want to read this. He is absolutely pissed off at the Oilers after firing their coach just recently, and now really no acquisitions in the offseason. They get rid of their goaltender. It doesn't make any sense. And Connor McDavid's pissed off. So that's going to grow legs. We've seen this before with the Edmonton Oilers, a.k.a. Wayne Gretzky. When Wayne Gretzky wanted a big contract, he wanted to be the first $1 million player in the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers did not want to give it to him. And what did they do? They traded him to L.A. And it absolutely changed everything for the Edmonton Oilers after that, as they decided to trade away Mark Messier and all the other pieces, Adam Graves, every single player. So it's not surprising that the Edmonton Oilers are in the middle of this craziness. So interesting story. Brian Cashman takes a shot at Giancarlo Stanton's injury, says that it seems to be part of his game. Brian Cashman is throwing himself even deeper. MLB Network's John Morosi says that Shohei Ohtani is intrigued about playing for the Braves. Interesting.
Scariest thought as a Mets fan.
Draymond Green chokes out Rudy Gobert in yesterday's game. Both Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels were also ejected. So let's get into it, because there's a lot to get into. Let's Parlay will be on tomorrow, and we have two fantastic guests on tonight. So I want to get into the Bills thing, and I want to get into the Jets. You never even gave me a topic on the Jets, and I definitely have to spread worldwide what I think is going on with this New York Jets team after losing not another game on a primetime showing. To me, it's been absolutely horrendous. But we're going to get into this story first, because this is the story that really sticks out to me right now in football. After the Bills lost to the Broncos on Monday Night Football, another primetime game, by the way, Trevon Diggs tweeted, "Man, 14 gotta get up and out of here." And then Diggs also added that Josh Allen didn't become a great quarterback until his brother, Stefon Diggs, got there. Josh Allen is currently tied for the lead in passing touchdowns, but has the most interceptions in the NFL this season. That's crazy. The Jets have Zach Wilson. The Bills fired offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey following their loss against the Broncos. The Bills fell to 5-5 and are out of the playoff spot in the AFC. The Bills will face the Jets next week, but then have to face the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys on their schedule after that. First of all, and I'm going to say this very, very nicely for Cowboys over the years that open their mouths when they get hurt, and they're not even part of the NFL right now. They're sitting out and enjoying themselves. And I can name a bunch of players over the years, Terrell Owens being one of them. When he gets hurt, he likes to speak his piece on and off the field. And I'm going to predict Trevon Diggs is not going to stop. This is going to get even worse. And I give Josh Allen a lot of credit, not speaking up and not even taking shots at Trevon Diggs. Because if it was me and I was Josh Allen, I would absolutely smack the you-know-what out of Trevon Diggs. And by the way, Josh Allen isn't a small guy. He's 6'5", and he's 250 pounds, runs like a deer, and he'll run right through Trevon Diggs, okay? That's just my opinion on that. So I have to give a guy like Josh Allen a lot of credit not speaking up and throwing this man under the bus. Nevertheless, when you look at Stefon Diggs, and I will say this very, very nicely and say my piece about who Stefon Diggs is. Stefon Diggs is a good wide receiver. If you look at Stefon Diggs' numbers before he was traded to the Buffalo Bills, he was not a Pro Bowl player. He was not anywhere close to the player he has become since he's been traded to the Buffalo Bills. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? It's because he has a competent quarterback that actually can get him the ball. And this is the same Stefon Diggs that threw his quarterback not once, not twice, but 3 times in Minnesota before he was traded. He took shots at the players around him. He took shots at guys that I think are better than him, and that was Adam Thielen, who I thought was a better wide receiver than he was at the time. Not now, but at the time he was. And maybe this year I would say Adam Thielen has been better than he has with a worse quarterback, and by the way, a worse team around him. You don't see Adam Thielen throwing Bryce Young under the bus, how bad Bryce Young has been in his rookie season. No, because he actually has class. Stefon Diggs has been bitching and crying and screaming that he doesn't see the ball enough. In the playoffs last year against the Bengals, when he was crying that he wasn't receiving the ball, he wasn't seeing the ball in the game. How many times was he looked at in the game? 15 times? 16 times? It's not enough for the Diggs family and what they have and what they have done for the league. Besides opening their mouths, they're pretty good players. And I will say this, the Cowboys defense has not been as good since Diggs has been hurt. But why is Trevon Diggs opening his mouth? Why is he speaking out and lashing out to Josh Allen when he doesn't know anything about Josh Allen? Why? Because his brother's bitching and moaning to him? Is he crying after the game? That he's not seeing the ball and that if he sees the ball 20 times in the game, they win? Stefon Diggs is one man, okay? One man. Josh Allen controls the huddle. Josh Allen controls everything that goes on offensively. He shows that he shares the ball on the field. He doesn't have to express his feelings after the game and try to calm everybody down in the locker room. Because to me, Josh Allen has been an impactful player in the NFL since he stepped on the field. Now, Dable has changed his way of throwing. Dable has changed him as a quarterback. And maybe Josh Allen is not as good as he was when Dable was there. But that doesn't mean that a guy like Trevon Diggs, who, by the way, is not playing right now, by the way, is not an elite corner in the league, and he was never an elite corner in the league. And I don't care what anybody says for the season that he had, 13 interceptions. Good for him. Trevon Diggs is one of the most overrated corners in the NFL.
Yep, and Josh Allen survived Jalen Ramsey his rookie year, taking shots at him, and now gets to endure this one again for whatever reason. I know he had some interceptions. I know he has 11 on the season, and it's not an ideal season for him, but let's not act like Stefon Diggs was not the only part of his development that was there. Like you were saying, Brian Dable was another big part too. Stefon Diggs is obviously the best receiver they've had, and one of the best ones the Bills have had in really a long time, since Andre Reed probably, but still, it's not the only reason that Josh Allen became the guy that he's became. Yes, the natural progression is you want to draft or get a star receiver to help with your quarterbacks. You saw the Eagles do that with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. It worked for wonders for them. They go to a Super Bowl, but still, the offensive coordinator was the biggest problem with the Bills, and that's why Ken Dorsey ended up getting fired. And Trevon Diggs not mentioning that kind of thing could help both of them out is something that they should be looking at, because he was the one really holding it back. Like you were saying, without Dable there was less creativity in that offense, less motion in that offense, and Diggs was the only one that was really striving now. Kincaid's doing it a little more the last month or so, but on a consistent basis, they don't have anything, and it's really made it hard for Josh Allen to do that. And before that, too, Trevon Diggs does not realize how bad the Buffalo Bills receiving core was, too. Josh Allen had to rebirth John Brown and Emmanuel Sanders and a lot of these other old guys the year before they traded for Stefon Diggs, too. So let's not act like Josh Allen is just a product of a top wide receiver.
No, and that's another thing. And again, I said Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen right now has 68 receptions for 652 yards and 4 touchdowns on a team that is not good offensively. Not good at all. When you look at a team like the Buffalo Bills, Stefon Diggs has 73 receptions for 868 yards and 7 touchdowns. Right now, how many games are left? 7 games?
The Bills have played 10, so yeah, they have 7 games.
They have 7 games left. He's on pace to get at least 1,500 yards. He's also on pace to get at least 13 touchdowns. Is that not enough for you? Is that not enough of your greedy ass when you step on a football field and you open your big fat mouth? I don't even think the Buffalo Bills want you there anymore. The only fact right now where the Buffalo Bills are is the fact that they had to trade you for Justin Jefferson. They had a chance to draft the best wide receiver in football, and they traded that pick away to get your big mouth. At least you don't hear Justin Jefferson throwing his quarterback under the bus and Kirk Cousins. It's despicable. It really is. And why is his brother speaking for him? You got a mouth. Speak up. Why are you being such a peewee? Honestly, It is an embarrassment. If you sit here right now and you're a Buffalo Bills fan and one of your best players is throwing your best player under the bus because he's not having such a great season because, I don't know, maybe he's playing hurt. Maybe his offensive line really stinks and he doesn't throw his offensive line, his overrated offensive line, under the bus.
And the main problems, it was the play calling and the lack of receiving depth, too, which you need. The Bills' offensive line, yes, has dealt through a lot of injuries this year. Definitely has not been the greatest unit. I would say it's been decent, but not like great. And again, they don't have enough consistency everywhere else too. And a lot of that has to do with a offensive coordinator that just got fired in Ken Dorsey too. And when that
do you really think that's going to make a difference if they bring in another offensive coordinator?
I don't
maybe
know.
a little bit.
I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on how good the offensive coordinator is. It's going to be a wild card no matter what. But
they're going to bring somebody in that's part of that organization right now, a quarterback coach or something. They're not going to bring somebody that's going to teach them a new game plan. They can't do that.
No, that's fair. Now, the main part I was getting at with Trevon Diggs, though, is that it's not Josh Allen's fault that Gabe Davis had all those drop passes on Monday night. Kincaid had a drop pass on a pretty easy throw. Like Josh Allen's interceptions, like I think only one of them were his fault in the last 2 games that he's had interceptions in. And a lot of that has to do with these other receivers not doing it. And that doesn't bode well for the Bills when you can't really win unless you're the Chiefs in today's game with like one star player and then a big drop off at the rest of the positions too.
Because you don't understand how it actually works for the Chiefs. How does Travis Kelce get open every single time? Right. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You know where the ball's going to, but for some reason, the guy's always open. Maybe they're afraid of Taylor Swift. Maybe they're afraid that she's going to write a song about them if they tackle him. I don't know what it is, but the guy's always open.
I would love to see Taylor Swift write a parody song about Trevon Diggs. That would be funny.
It is pretty funny. It really is. But nevertheless, I think this story is just absolutely appalling. If I was a guy like Josh Allen right now, and I was a part of the Buffalo Bills organization, I would pull Stefon Diggs to the side. I would reach out to Trevon Diggs if I was the GM of this organization and say, listen, dude, keep your 2 cents to yourself until the season is over. If you don't like that your brother's on this team, we'll move on from him at the end of the season. To me, he's been nothing but a big, bothersome,
nuisance.
I don't even call him a nuisance. I'm trying to figure out the best word for him. He's a piece of garbage. That's what he is. He is a giant turd that hangs out of somebody's butt and they can't get it out. Okay,
let's not forget
that's what it is.
Let's not forget he also was the same guy.
I'm trying to figure out a word for that.
Let's not forget he's also.
I won't say it on live radio. Okay.
Let's not forget he's also the same guy that also had a training camp scuffle with Dak Prescott. We're trying to have all the fans boo him too.
What's up with the Diggs family? The first thing they want to attack is their quarterback. I mean, seriously, Dak is better than Trevon Diggs. I don't care what any Cowboy fan says. Dak is a better player than Trevon Diggs. So I'm sure Dak is laughing, and Dak would kick the you-know-what out of Trevon Diggs. Has anybody looked at Dak's legs and how big and strong he is? And then you talk about Josh Allen. He's one of the biggest quarterbacks in the NFL.
I would love Josh Allen.
He would run through Stefon Diggs and Trevon Diggs like a freight train, okay?
I would love to have Josh Allen just pull off what Derrick Henry did to Josh Norman, to have Josh Allen do that kind of stiff arm to Trevon Diggs.
Now it is the Zach Wilson saga. I watched the New York Jets week by week by week. And it wasn't until the third game of the season where I realized that Zach Wilson isn't any good. He hasn't been any good. Now, I know everybody wants to throw Nathaniel Hackett under the bus like I threw Mike LaFleur under the bus last year because I thought he was never any good. And maybe Nathaniel Hackett has some things you can blame against him. And same thing with Robert Saleh, because I have my thoughts to Robert Saleh, and I will get into that in just 1 second. Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the NFL. I said this last week. I said this the week before. And I know a lot of Jet fans. I have a bunch of them that says, told me today through Messenger, and I'm not going to mention any names, and I will never throw them under the bus because they're my boys, says they don't understand that this isn't Zach Wilson's fault. This isn't all his fault. Are you kidding me? Honestly, if there was anybody, the quarterback, for the New York Jets against the Vegas Raiders, they beat them. They absolutely beat them. If you had Trevor Siemian as the starting quarterback for the New York Jets, the Jets win. If you watch the Jets right now, this team isn't good. Their defense is fantastic. This is one of the top 4 defenses in the league. They're a shutdown defense. And the Jets, if they had Aaron Rodgers right now, I think the Jets are 7-1 or 8-1 or whatever they have, maybe 7-2. Whatever their record is, they play 10 games, they would be 7-3 right now or even 8-2 as Aaron Rodgers is starting quarterback for this team. This offensive line isn't any good, okay? It isn't. We understand that. It's been shifting. We don't even know who the starting left tackle is going to be this week. Is it going to be Brown? Is he coming back? Are we moving Mekhi Becton to the right tackle position? What are we doing at the guard position? Langston Thompson, is his hand hurting him? Is his knee hurting him? Is his balls hurting him? Who knows? Is Max Mitchell playing guard all of a sudden from the tackle position? Who knows? And then we have Tippmann, who I think is a good player. I think he's going to be a fantastic center in this league if he could stay healthy. Zach Wilson, it doesn't matter if this offensive line was the Lions' offensive line. Zach Wilson is a horrible quarterback. He is not any good. He hasn't been any good. He can make some fantastic throws, okay? He can. I'm not going to lie to you. If you're a Jet fan, you're impressed with his arm strength. Fantastic. He could throw the ball down the field on a Hail Mary at the end of the game and almost put the ball in Garrett Wilson's hands or Conklin's hands. Good for him. Congratulations to him. Does it really make a difference? Honestly, what we have seen with this team and this offense has been despicable. You bring in Dalvin Cook this year, you think that he was a great fit for this team and this organization. He's an absolute bust. He might be done as an NFL player. Now, he didn't have a preseason. He didn't have an off-season workout because he wasn't sure where he was going. He wasn't sure that he was going to stay with Minnesota. He wasn't sure if the Jets were going to make a move for him because he was sitting there and he had a baby coming. So a lot of people thought that Dalvin Cook was not ready for the season. If you already know or knew that he wasn't ready for the season, why did he start the season as your second-tier running back? Now, we all know Michael Carter got waived, okay? He sucked since the day they brought him in. And I thought he was going to be good. Yeah, I did. And Jeff attacked me today saying, I thought Michael Carter's going to be good. Yeah, I thought he was going to be good. He was a third-round draft pick. I thought he played very well for North Carolina. It hasn't worked out as a New York Jet. They have Breece Hall. And for some reason, Nathaniel Hackett thinks that Zach Wilson's arm is going to beat the opposing defenses when you have a weapon like a Breece Hall. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And I don't care what his numbers have been in the last couple of games, and he looked better. What is better? Not throwing interceptions? Who cares? He doesn't throw touchdowns. When was the last time Zach Wilson threw a touchdown? What was it, 3 games ago? At the end of a game that nobody gives a crap about?
He threw a touchdown on a screen pass, 3 yards, and then Breece Hall ran the rest of it against the Giants.
It's disgraceful if you sit here today and think that the Jets could fix Zach Wilson. I don't think the Pope can fix Zach Wilson.
There's no superhero that could fix Zach Wilson.
I mean, unless he was the Flash and they can't see him.
You need your kryptonite skills to come into play.
Maybe if he saw ghosts like Sam Darnold, it'd be different.
Oh, my God. Reverse paranormal theory. I like
maybe
this.
he'd be the ghost.
Oh, yeah. Zach Wilson could definitely be a ghost because that's every time all the spots he throws to is through receivers' hands on short passes, too. And that was the big problem in this game as well. He, like you said, he had some good intermediate throws. He had some good tight sideline throws.
Horrible.
Conklin had a couple nice ones in the second half. But you're right. The short throws still have to be an issue. He's still holding the ball a ton. And Nathaniel Hackett has to realize that the Raiders were the worst run defense in the NFL coming into the week, too, and they couldn't run the ball very well either.
Just look at these numbers. 23 for 39. 263 yards, which Jet fans are like, well, he still threw for 263 yards. 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. Now, let me ask any fan out there, do you think, even with your defense this good and this dominant, do you really think that you can win without a quarterback actually throwing more than 2 touchdowns in a game? The answer is no. Even quarterbacks over the years, Rex Grossman, do you remember him on the Chicago Bears when that defense was fantastic? They had a great running game with Jones. Remember that? That was a great defense and a good running game, but quarterback wasn't good. Rex Grossman in that season when they went to the Super Bowl threw more touchdowns than Zach Wilson has thrown in 3 years.
Here's another fun stat. Josh Dobbs, who just got traded to the Minnesota Vikings, has 5 touchdown passes in 2 games. Zach Wilson has 5 touchdown passes all season.
I can't sit here as a Jet fan or a Jet supporter and not throw Robert Saleh under the bus. Now, this is going, and I'm going to swing this to Robert Saleh. You go to a press conference. You get these questions from all these different people, from different newspapers, magazines, TV shows, podcasts. Everybody's asking you the same question. And he says, it's not just Zach, it's all of us. We all got to be better. And you've been saying this week in and week out. You had smiles on your face when you beat the Eagles because the Eagles practically gave it away. And by the way, we all know what Jason Kelce said after the fact of the game. He did. He said it. He said, we made the mistakes. Shout out to the Jets. They played a pretty good game, especially in the second half, with no mistakes for themselves. In the second half. In the first half, the Jets were all about mistakes, by the way. Then you beat the Giants, luckily, which you shouldn't have, okay? Because Gano missed a field goal kick, not once, but twice in the game, which cost the Giants, because it was raining. And nobody wanted to blame Zach because, hey, the ball was slipping out of his hands. It was slipping all over the place. You also played at Utah in a cold climate, okay, when it was raining and snowing. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the complaining because that is not an excuse. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the last 2 games, you laid up 2 lousy goose eggs against 2 teams you are much better than. The Chargers, who have the worst secondary in football, okay? You couldn't even throw a touchdown in the game when you were on the 20-yard line. Oh, no. And I will get into Robert Saleh's excuses for that. No. You couldn't do that because you have 8 or 9 penalties on one damn play. And then against the Vegas Raiders on another primetime, back-to-back primetime games for the NFL to watch how bad this team is and how despicable this offense is. You go to Vegas, and all the Jet fans follow them to Vegas, from the Jake Asmans of the world, and every single person with all the podcasts sitting there and saying, Jets, Jets. How about this? S-U-C-K, suck. That's what you are as an offense. You suck. You're a terrible offense. This is the worst offense I've ever seen the Jets have. And to sit here and think a young quarterback is going to be fixed, it is despicable. Get rid of him, fire him, drop him like a bad habit, bring Trevor Siemian in, and maybe, I don't want to hear that Aaron Rodgers is coming back sometime in Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving. It's not happening. Don't bring this guy back. Wait until next year when you have some kind of a competent offense. Maybe you make a move for Devontae Adams. Maybe you don't. This offense is despicable. Alan Lazard stinks. Okay? Why is Randall Cobb on the team? He stinks. Every single player on this offense blows goat. Okay? The only ones that I would keep right now are Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. Everybody else, get rid of them. They stink.
Seems like simple game planning logic is something that the Jets have alluded to themselves with, too. Like you said, the Chargers have the worst secondary in football. They are the only, I think there's been 7 400-yard passing games allowed, Justin Herbert obviously threw one of them, so the Chargers wouldn't have allowed that. The Chargers have allowed, I think, 5 of the other 6. And they don't throw the ball well enough at all in that game. And then the Raiders have the worst run defense in the NFL, and they barely run the ball. Like, what kind of logic is that when you already have a quarterback that's very flawed? You already have a quarterback that, like you say, taking all these stupid penalties, dropping the ball, negative yardage against also one of the best pass rushers in the league, and Max Crosby. So combine that with all that, the Jets have not coached very well recently since that Eagles game. I gave Robert Saleh and Jeff Goldberg all the credit in the world for the Eagles game. I thought their game plan was brilliant. Since then, it's an all downhill ever since.
And here's another thing. And I will say this to be very kind to the Jet fans. You sit here, you're all over social media, and you want to blame just Zach Wilson. Okay. And I do believe Zach Wilson is about 60% of the reason why the Jets stink. Okay. 60%. All right. The other 40% is the coaching and the offensive side of the ball. And I'm going to say this nice. I love Garrett Wilson. I think he's a fabulous talent. He really is. And he makes some unbelievable catches. And when teams are double teaming him, somehow he gets to the ball somehow. How many times has Garrett Wilson dropped the ball this year? How many times? How many times has the ball been in his hands and fallen out of his hands? Okay? That ball that was Hail Married at the end of the game should have been caught by Garrett Wilson. That was absolutely there for him to take the ball out of the air.
There was another one earlier in that drive, too. He should have had
100%. That another deep pass that was in his hands. And yes, he was double teamed, but it was right in his hands and it fell out. You are an elite, and everybody keeps bragging about you, how sensational you are. One of the best route runners in the league. What have you done? Seriously, I love you, Garrett. What have you done? What? Because you had 1,000 yards your first year with 3 quarterbacks who were incompetent, including Zach Wilson? Oh, so that makes you one of the greatest wide receivers in the league right now? You haven't done anything. At least Davante Adams has done it year in and year out, no matter who is his quarterback. Even this year, he's had how many quarterbacks? He's still going to have over 1,300 yards. He's still going to have over 10 touchdowns. What have you had? There's no excuses for you. So stop making excuses. I saw his thought, I'm getting sick and tired of this. Who the hell are you? You're getting sick and tired of this? I'm getting sick and tired of watching this team. It's despicable. It's garbage football, okay? And this defense has been unbelievable. They stop every single team. And yes, they give up a run here and there, which makes no sense. And they've had some bad penalties, which has cost them. I would admit it.
First quarter game planning was pretty bad, too. They never adjusted to Davante Adams at all in
No,
the beginning.
No, not at all. Until they figured it out. And what they did was they drew the safety under him, which they should have been doing the whole game. Not because Sauce Gardner can't stop him, because you want to make sure that he doesn't beat you in any kind of way, because he makes these unbelievable catches. He made like 3 or 4 unbelievable catches in the game that not many people can make. But nevertheless, you sit here and you wonder, where is this team going? And I'm going to tell you guys where they're going. The same place they went last year when they were 7-3. I cannot, and I will go through their schedule right now. I cannot honestly believe that the Jets are going to win another game this year. I'm going to go through the schedule, and you tell me where they're going to find a win. Okay? They have already beaten the Bills. Now they're going into Buffalo on a primetime game, another primetime game. By the way, Zach Wilson on primetime games, he has not won a game. He has not won a game on a primetime game in his career, okay? That's 3 years, boys and girls. 3 years. He hasn't won a primetime game, all right? So let's go. The Jets and the Bills, that's a loss. The Jets and the Dolphins, that's a loss. The Jets and the Falcons, that's a loss. The Jets and the Texans is definitely a loss. The Jets and the Dolphins, that's a loss. The Commanders with Sam Howell throwing over 344 yards, even against the Jets defense. If he throws anywhere close to that and 2 touchdowns in a game because the Jets can't score, that's a loss.
He throws a lot of interceptions, though, too.
The Browns, that's a loss. And then the New England Patriots, who have beaten them 17 straight times. That's a loss. That's a loss against a third-string quarterback. I'm going to tell you guys this. I will be very surprised if the Jets win at least one more game this season. One more. I cannot see it. I do not want to see Aaron Rodgers strut out there and get hurt again, where we don't have him next year, where he's not going to be healthy next year for the season. The Jets cannot commit to bring Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to hear about Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. We expect him to come back. Why? Why would you expect him to come back where he puts himself in harm's way with this offensive line and this putrid offense?
Yeah, and it took Aaron Rodgers after that first injury, too, a couple of years to really get back to form, too. So you definitely don't want that either. At the 5 years later, at the older age of his career now, too, where you're already having to restructure money. And that kind of thing is very difficult for any team to be able to trust in today's game, where you're trying to get younger at the quarterback position. You're trying to get more athletic at the quarterback position. You definitely don't want that, because if Aaron Rodgers comes back this season, gets hurt again, you're going to have a big problem next year when you have to restructure all that money.
And I know, and I think the Philadelphia game was not a prime. It was
a 4:25.
It was a 4:25. So that's not consider a primetime game. Primetime game is Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Zach Wilson has never won a primetime game. Not that I remember. I cannot remember in the last 3 years that I can't remember how many times the Jets have been in primetime.
He doesn't get credit technically for the Bills one because he came into the game later. So
no. He has never won.
I don't think that counts for a
No, that's not a primetime
Now,
game.
granted, the Chiefs game, they probably should have won, but that's another story.
I don't even give him that because he did nothing in that game against the Bills. He did nothing in that game. That was all Breece Hall and a punt return.
And Jordan Whitehead having 3 interceptions.
And Gibson. Okay, that was it. That was nothing to do with Zach Wilson. But whatever. I'm sitting here today. If you're a Jet fan, and you're going to sit here and you're going to make excuses and, we still can make the playoffs. I saw somebody post something that if the Jets beat the Bills and Miami loses this week and the Jets play Miami next week and they win, they take full custody of first place. Are you guys on drugs? That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So stop it. Stop dreaming a little dream. Stop having one of your wet dreams, because it's not going to work. And whatever chick is in that wet dream, she better be hot, because I wouldn't go back to sleep. It's a nightmare watching Zach Wilson. And if I have to see anything with Zach Wilson in my dream, I'd like to see his mom, not him.
I was going to say Zach Wilson's nightmares will probably feature some mothers in that dream. So I don't know where that's going to go with the hottest woman in the world.
Yeah, I do not want to hear about Zach Wilson anymore. He should be absolutely dropped by the New York Jets. If he doesn't get dropped at the end of the year, shame on Joe Douglas. He should be fired. I think Robert Saleh, if the Jets don't win another game this year, Robert Saleh gets fired at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, if he doesn't win another game, 100%.
You cannot keep Robert Saleh. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers says and how mad Aaron Rodgers is going to be, because he's in love with Robert Saleh and what Robert Saleh is doing over here. Robert Saleh can't coach offense. He can't. And he's proven he's another Rex Ryan. That's what he is. He's a guy that can build a defense, but can't figure out an offense. And if that doesn't work, he doesn't belong here. I am done with Robert Saleh. I'm done with Zach Wilson. I'm almost done with Joe Douglas. Almost. Not yet, but I'm almost. If Joe Douglas doesn't do something about this at the end of the season and figure this out, Joe Douglas should go. It doesn't make any sense. I'm done making excuses for the New York Jets. It's hilarious. It really is. This team is a joke. And I can't sit here and I don't even drink. I want to drink when I watch this team. I don't drink. I might as well have a couple of shots. I might believe that one day the Jets will sneak a win, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah, take a shot. Maybe the Jets will have a chance to win. Who knows?
I'll take a shot. Give me a gun. I'll shoot myself in the head.
Or maybe you should hire Plaxico Burress. He's good at that.
Yeah, well, maybe I should hire him. He doesn't like to be interviewed when we go out to an event. So maybe, playing with a gun will give him a reason to talk to me.
Maybe you should hire Plaxico Burress to shoot Zach Wilson in the foot.
I'll do more than that if I ever meet Zach Wilson. I mean, it's just despicable. This team is despicable. I don't want to talk about it anymore. There's enough on my frustration through this monologue to tell you that I'm even done watching the Jets this year. I don't even watch them anymore. I know what's going to happen. It's a wall now. They can't climb it. They might as well. They could pile each other, all 56 guys on top of each other's shoulder. They still can't get to the top. They have no understanding how to get to the top. It's ridiculous.
If the Jets put 56 guys on the field because they shot the Eagles on 4th and 1.
At least the Eagles will find a way to the top.
Yep.
They usually do.
Uh-huh.
DeShaun Watson will have season-ending surgery on his right shoulder. Watson reportedly suffered an injury in the first quarter against the Ravens. Watson stayed in the game and led a fourth-quarter comeback to beat the Ravens, but said he was still feeling discomfort. Watson has a cap hit of $63.9 million each of the next 3 years of his contract. The Browns' other quarterback is P.J. Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They say Robinson is projected to start. I don't understand. Walker's been pretty good. The Browns are 6-3, half a game back of the Ravens in the AFC North, and currently in second and the second wild card spot right now in the AFC. $63.9 million for the next 3 years. That is guaranteed to go to DeShaun Watson. Yes, you heard it from me. Every single penny that was given to him when the Browns made a trade for him and signed him is guaranteed to Mr. Whack Attack. Mr. I want to spank my noggin. Mr. I need a hand job. Maybe he needs some Kraft macaroni and cheese on it. I mean, honestly, it is an embarrassment to this Browns organization. This Browns team is really good. This is a good defense. Even losing Chubb for the season, this is a good running game with Kareem Hunt and Jerome.
Even losing Conklin on the offensive line, they've still been good.
Their offensive line is one of the top 10 offensive lines in football right now. Everything about this team, the number one defense in football. Myles Garrett could win Defensive Player of the Year for all the greatness of what we've seen TJ Watt have and Micah Parsons and all that. Nick Bosa. Right now, the lead vote getter right now is Myles Garrett. He is to me, Defensive Player of the Year. But nonetheless, when you watch this team and the most important position, which, by the way, you overtraded and overpaid for, your starting quarterback, the Michael Jordan of Dabo Swinney's dream, this guy has done nothing for this team since he was traded there. He's better off renting a hand job or something, because his hand jobs have cost this team and this organization more money than they could bear.
Maybe Dabo Swinney should give one to him because he loves him so much.
Maybe he should just hang out with Robert Kraft, like I said before the show.
Yep. Robert Kraft's going to buy a 33rd NFL team, or the 33rd NFL team in the league, create a new one just all together, just to have Deshaun Watson isolated and get his massages. All that he wants, because we know the Texans love to use their team facility for that.
Maybe they have a glory hole over there in New England. Maybe him and Robert Kraft can high-five each other next to each other by that glory hole.
Yep. Maybe at this rate, Deshaun Watson is going to end up going there anyway, now that he has all this free time, because he got his surgery, and now he's going to audition to get traded to the Patriots next year. Who knows?
As an organization, as a Browns organization that has been a laughingstock of the NFL, I mean, the Jets and the Browns have been the two laughing franchise of the league for the last 30 years. I mean, maybe even longer. I mean, both organizations. You can throw
the Raiders in there too.
I'm not. The Raiders at least have won, 6 Super Bowls, 7 Super Bowls. I mean, how many Super Bowls has the Browns won since they came back? 0. How many have the Jets won?
Just the one
in 1969.
Yeah,
I wasn't even alive for that.
Yeah, the Raiders I think won 3, and their last one was in 1983.
I mean, honestly, there is nothing good to talk about these two franchises. But we're not even talking about the Jets. We're talking about a franchise and an owner that overpaid Deshaun Watson after being away from football for 2 years, and I thought, thank God he didn't go to the Jets, by the way. I mean, the Jets would be screwed right now. I mean, I was betting Josh if DeShaun Watson was going to the Jets, that he would have to run naked on 347. Thank God that didn't happen. I wouldn't want to see that anyway. I do not want to see Josh running naked, by the way. And that's one. And number two, I definitely don't want to see DeShaun Watson in a Jets uniform. I mean, even though I have to watch Zach Wilson. But this shoulder injury could be career ending. And I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to be nice about this for DeShaun Watson. Shoulder surgery as a quarterback. This is his throwing arm, by the way. When you have shoulder surgery, you can ask Josh Allen. Josh Allen, before he came into the NFL, he had shoulder surgery. He had to change and transform his throwing motion after he came to the league because it was never going to work in the NFL. That's why Dable, for a whole off season, went and trained with Josh Allen to teach him how to throw differently in the NFL. It showed him a different way to step into the ball and all that other stuff. Release point, everything. This is going to happen with DeShaun Watson. DeShaun Watson is never going to succeed in the NFL again now that he's going to get right shoulder surgery. He's never going to be the same. You mark my words, he will never be the same. One thing that DeShaun Watson was very good at, it was moving and rolling out of the pocket and making throws on the run. How many times have we seen that this year? How many times has he completed a pass that way this year? They have looked offensively putrid, but because of their running game and because of the way the offensive line is helping the run out, it's hidden the deficiencies of the quarterback position.
Yep, and the yards after the catch with the wide receiver, the versatility depth that they have with the wide receiver position, the tight ends have really made it where they're still making it tricky amidst all that. Kevin Stefanski's done a very good coaching job this year because
he's never going to lose his job.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper's had a great year, but it's kind of rotational with the rest of those wide receivers. They drafted a kid in Cedric Tillman. They have Elijah Moore, obviously they traded for.
He's been horrible
and
too.
Donovan Peoples-Jones struggled, so they traded him to Detroit, and so they had this rotating door of wide receivers. Tight ends, the same kind of thing. Njoku's been healthier this year, luckily for them, but they also have Harrison Bryant. And like you said, the running backs, they had to re-sign Kareem Hunt after letting him go after he had a bad year last year. So they've had all these moving pieces, but like you said, the quarterback position is something that they haven't been able to adjust.
Just think about this. DeShaun Watson this year has 1,115 yards thrown, okay? Which is, by the way, out of any starting quarterback, yes, the worst in the NFL. Any starting quarterback, he has the least amount of yards thrown. Even Zach Wilson has thrown and completed more yard passes than DeShaun Watson. That's crazy. Here's another thing. 7 touchdowns, which is a lot, but I guess for a guy that's only thrown over a little bit over 1,000 yards. 4 interceptions, and his quarterback ranking and rating, which is 23rd in the league, is 44.7. Do you know how bad that is? Yeah. And you're going to pay this guy $63.5 million for the next 3 years? What are you, nuts? Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to take this contract, by the way. Nobody. They're going to have to eat at least most of it to get rid of it. And I can't, if you're a Browns fan, could you sit back and relax and believe that this guy is actually going to be your starting quarterback moving forward next year? I don't believe it.
And they're going to be stuck with it too. And maybe that's why they had some influence to say, all right, maybe you should get the surgery now. And when we're not going to be able to have...
What is that going to do?
I don't know. But the only thing is the Browns have been kind of like zero quarterback type team all year.
He can jerk with his left hand more than his right now.
Oh, yeah, he can. But...
I mean, seriously, I don't know what it is, but a happy ending is not going to be the salvation of what he has done on the field. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and because of the way the contract got restructured too. I was saying at the beginning of the season when Watson, or the beginning of last season when Watson was suspended, take in all the money now, but they never restructured it then. And Andrew Berry usually does this a lot with a lot of these big contracts that the Browns have signed, is they've restructured it, but they didn't do it last year when they should have. And now they're paying the majority of it for the next 3 years now too. And that means you're going to lose a lot of these other guys.
And by the way, Mike Geiger, a good friend of mine, he says, you know how much time he's missed. Who cares how much time he's missed? Mike, do you really think that Deshaun Watson is the same quarterback he was with the Texans? He's not. He hasn't been. He hasn't played in 2 years. Whose fault is that? Honestly, that's not anybody's fault but Deshaun Watson. And then he gets another big contract after getting a big contract from the Texans and them paying him and the organization hiding things. He was doing things in the back, in the facility. He was doing things. And by the way, what is he saying? No, I don't understand what he's saying no for. But you sit here, Deshaun Watson is an absolute joke. He's a disgrace. And I hear, what is he writing over here?
I didn't say that. I'm saying with the numbers, you need to add games played to the context. Yeah, but he hasn't played. He's only played half the season. I understand that, but still, that still only paces out to about 12 touchdowns.
How many games has he played this year?
It only paces out to about 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, if you want to judge that. That is not a great season for a guy that's making $213 million and all guaranteed money. And so you have to judge that accordingly too. Like, yeah, okay, a season of 24 touchdowns, let's say pace it out that way, and 10 interceptions is like that, then maybe it's still good, but it's not worth $213
Does anybody know how many games
million.
he's played? How many games has he played this year? Out of the 10 games that has been played by the Browns. It's 9 or 10 games. I know did they have the bye week? 6? 6. So he's played 6 out of the 10 games. Okay. So Zach Wilson has played how many games this year for the New York Jets? He's played 10 games, right? He came in for Aaron Rodgers. He's played 10 games. Okay. What is Zach Wilson's numbers? Let's bring up Zach's numbers.
Oh, we already mentioned he had 5 touchdowns.
Let's compare and contrast his numbers to the great Deshaun Watson. Okay. I'm trying to compare disgrace to disgrace. Okay. Zach Wilson has played 10 games. He has 1,863 touchdowns. 1,863 yards to 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he has the 30th worst quarterback rating of 34.2. Okay. Now, if you compare, if let's say Deshaun Watson played 8 games, he throws 1,800 yards and he has 10 touchdowns. Okay. To, let's say, 6 interceptions, an average of 6 interceptions. Do you think that's worth $63 million? Do you think he's worth $260 million guaranteed? And I know, Mike, I know you're not defending him, but you're telling me to use the context of how many games he's played. Okay, the guy stinks. He's not the same player he was with the Texans. At one point, I thought Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback in the NFL. That year that he had, 32 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and he had nobody to throw to, and he was arguably the best quarterback that year. And I think it was Aaron Rodgers that
Rodgers won one MVP. Yeah,
that won that MVP.
Years, yeah.
I mean, that was a great season. Deshaun Watson is not the same player he once was, Mike. And honestly, the Browns made a big mistake, and this is going to come back and haunt them. It's going to hit them right in the back of the head because you got defensive players you're going to have to pay, and you're not going to be able to pay them because you guaranteed that money to that kid. What is he saying?
He came in with a shoulder injury and high ankle sprain in the second
Whose fault
half,
is that?
And the other day against the Ravens. Yeah, he actually pushed himself to play, Mike. That's the other thing, too. And he actually went against, I think, one of the doctor's restrictions. I think not every doctor wanted him to come back in the game, but one of the doctors was saying no.
He didn't win the game. He went 14 for 14 and he won and won the game. What? Oh, when he came into the game?
Yeah, he played great in the second half. We're not saying he didn't play great in the second half of that game, especially how good the Ravens defense is. But still, it's not ideal for somebody like
Mike.
Watson
Did you watch the defense? Have you watched the Browns defense this year? Have you seen how dominant they've been? I mean, it wasn't just Deshaun Watson. I mean, Deshaun Watson, if he wins, he comes into a game and wins a measly game. Does that mean that he deserves $63 million a year? I mean, seriously. Okay, let me go. If I could complete 14 for 14 passes, you're going to pay me $63 million? I mean, seriously. And by the way, what is he saying? I'm the biggest Browns defensive guy on earth or in earth.
I guess defending the Browns defense. Yeah, which again,
I understand that. But Mike, you sit here and you're trying to defend Deshaun Watson. Maybe you're not. I don't know what you're doing. I mean, to me, You can't defend this guy. And I think Myles Garrett is the MVP. He's Defensive Player of the Year. There's no question that he is. I mean, right now, who's better than Myles Garrett?
And Mike, you also mentioned earlier too that he lost the tackle. I understand that in Conklin, and he lost Nick Chubb, but the Browns still
tell him the call. Give him the numbers.
The Browns still have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Two of the best guards in the league. Wyatt Teller, Joel Bitonio. You got a nice tackle in DeJuan Jones, who's a rookie who's played very well this year. Was a 4th-round pick, and Jedrick Wills. He hasn't been great, but he's been serviceable.
I still
enough.
like the kid. I still think he has a lot of potential. He's still very young. What is he? 24 years old?
Yeah. He's been injury prone. He's had some issues in pass blocking in certain years. Like, he's not amazing, but he's still serviceable. As now they're having to move him to left tackle because of Conklin, obviously. But they've still had a good enough offensive line where this shouldn't be this big of an issue for DeShaun Watson. DeShaun Watson being 23rd in quarterback rating is not ideal for anybody. Nevertheless, somebody that is making $63 million a year. Let's see if we have him.
Mike.
There he is.
Oh, here he is. What's up, man? No, finally, you called the show. I'm happy to have you on.
I know. You know what it is? I'm normally working Wednesdays.
I know, man. You're a bartender. You're doing real estate. You're living in Florida now. You're practically married now, man.
It's getting close. That's for sure.
Well, good for you, man. I'm happy for you.
I try to be happy, and then I watch the Jets play football.
Well, I don't know how much happiness you're going to have when you watch a game like that. The offense is just absolutely putrid.
Maybe you should do shots with Errol.
Shots. I don't drink, but he knows that.
The superstitions, though.
Yeah, that's true. If I told you.
I've seen him out, and I've tried, and he's not a drinker. You know what I mean? We used to talk in the LA Fitness locker room. You know what I mean, about football, about the draft, and and you know what's funny, actually, man. I don't know if we've ever spoken about this. The last time that I called you, you called me out for saying that the Rams with Matthew Stafford will win a Super Bowl, and you told me they're not even a playoff team.
Yes, I did.
I just want to remind you.
I know. I gave you. I said it on social media. I gave you the compliment. Yes, I didn't think they were, but I also didn't think they were going to get Jalen Ramsey. I didn't think that everything was going to align the way it did. They gave away their future, and
don't get me wrong. Absolutely, they sold their soul, and they're paying for it now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think McVay's smart enough, and he knows a little bit about, take a couple steps back, a little slingshot effect, you know what I mean? Take a couple steps back and shoot yourself forward. And, obviously the Nakua pick is looking good so far. And, if they can get a couple of guys on defense, they'll be fine.
Do you think McVay's going to stay there when there are a bunch of teams that are going to be looking for a new head coach where he can go to another team and build that team to a championship?
If I'm correct, thinking about it, I'm pretty sure he signed a pretty decent contract, so they would have to let him out of it if that, you know what I mean, if that were to be the case. He was going to retire,
right?
And then he decided to stay. So I can't imagine him. Listen, unless he's one of those guys who's like, you know what? Let me get $6 more million just to coach a crappy football team, and then I'll retire. You know what I mean? I just if he's one of those guys, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell what other people are doing in certain situations. I don't know. You know what I mean?
The other thing too is this is the first year they're finally gonna get their first round pick again. So maybe it's possible they can get a quarterback.
I don't remember the last time that they picked in the first round. I really don't.
It's 2016. It was Jared Goff.
But it's not going to be a top pick because they're playing pretty good football. The Rams are playing pretty good.
Right. I think their pick is still 8th or something right now.
I'll tell you what.
They can still get a good quarterback.
Talking about pick, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about. Gambling's legal in New York, so we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
I love the Rams coming off a bye against Seattle. If Seattle's not been playing incredible football lately, they're starting to show some holes. Aaron Donald plays very well against Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that this is a Rams game this week. So I like the money line. No points, just I like the money line. I think it's a pick 'em. I think maybe Seattle might be +1, but or -1, but I like the Rams this week.
Look at Mike.
He's auditioning for Let's Parlay tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go Rams money line, Cooper Kupp over 6.5, Puka Nacua over 55 receiving yards. And Stafford two touchdowns, plus touchdowns,
which is possible. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not incredible, dude. I had a parlay last week. I wish I had it on me. I could read it off to you. But basically, I had an 11-leg parlay, $50 to win 4,800.
Wow!
And I missed one of the 10, one of the 11, and it was Christian Kirk I had Christian Kirk 67.5 receiving yards, and he finished with 56. I hit the other 10.
I have a friend.
Oh man,
I had a friend 2 weeks ago called me up and he asked me, give me 18 picks. I said, I won't bet. I said, you bet. I was 17 for 18, and if he won, he would have won 44 grand.
Oh, love that.
44 grand. And he was one play, and he said it with 2 minutes left of the game, it screwed him. The game screwed him. So,
oh yeah, of course.
I mean, that's betting. I mean, that's why I don't bet.
Oh, absolutely. It's if some butts were candy and nuts, we'd have Christmas every day. So. But,
that's true.
But I just want to get the DeShaun Watson thing cleared up. Right?
Go ahead.
I don't think, obviously, first of all, I don't think anybody besides maybe Pat Mahomes is worth the money that they gave him. All right, so let's get that clear. Okay. Basically what I'm saying though is like, I don't think it's you don't even want to get me started with Zach Wilson, by the way, because people rip me apart for being such a Zach Wilson truther, but it's not like I don't ever think Zach Wilson's good. I don't say Zach Wilson's a good quarterback. You know what I mean? He's not a good quarterback, obviously. If he was a good quarterback, they wouldn't have traded for Aaron Rodgers. All right. So, but with DeShaun Watson, I do see stuff in him that I know he's not like one of those guys who's just there to steal the money, if that's what you know what I mean. Like you don't just come out. I know the Browns defense is unbelievable. Big Denzel Ward guy. I'm an Ohio State fan, so I like Ohio State. I just think like he gets so much shit because of everything that happened. Which don't get me wrong. Do I think he's a good person? No. I hate LeBron James too, but I'm not going to say he's not a good basketball player. You know what I mean? He's the best basketball player I've ever gotten to watch on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, with DeShaun, like the guy he's not trying to like not be good. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a pretty good football player. He's not playing to the contract by any means. But can you sit there and tell me that they're a better football team with him not being there?
No,
they're not as definitively worse though as you think, though, considering they're not really winning based on quarterback play anyway.
So Marcus Spears today, he on the ESPN segment, he put them in their lock 'em in segment, his lock 'em in segment, lock 'em into the playoffs before the surgery was announced. I don't know if he does that anymore. They lost to the Steelers. Week 3,
week
4,
2,
whatever
and
it was.
There was the fumble return touchdowns.
The Steelers didn't even run an offensive play inside the 30-yard line. I just don't know. Like you're seeing it right now with the Jets. If you could be the best defense on earth, you could be the Bears in the 80s, and if you are on the field for 40 minutes at a time, it's not going to end well.
That's what happens when you have Matt Canada as your offensive coordinator.
You're going to be tired. Dude, the Jets have been stuffing the run for a couple years now. Josh Jacobs made them look like they've never tackled before. They were so tired, and they're like, oh, my God.
Saquon Barkley made them look like a second-tier run-stopping
that's what I'm saying. But, like, there's only so much you can do to tackle somebody so many times because you're on the field for 40, 45 minutes a game. You're going to get tired, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's why, like, and I love when Jerry Jones drafted Ezekiel Elliott, all right? He was getting a lot of shit for it. They were like, I'm sorry if I curse.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. Yep, that's fine.
He's like, listen, I think Ezekiel Elliott is the best thing for our defense. If we can gain these yards, if we can get like this 3rd and 2 and keep the defense off the field for a few extra minutes a game, that means more to our defense than a player that is going to be a role player. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I really, really appreciated that because I agree. You know what I'm saying? Alan Lazard is the worst thing to happen to the Jets since I couldn't even tell you. He's so hard to watch, and I know why they did it. I know that if you ever listen to him talk,
yes,
Alan Lazard,
yes,
he's a very smart guy,
yes,
right? And he's a good person. He's a very smart guy, and I don't have problems with him as a person, but like he's not like a super athlete by any means.
No,
you know what I mean. But he kind of ran the offense in Green Bay the way that Jordy Nelson used to, in the sense that Aaron trusted him because he's smart enough to do the right thing, right? So he doesn't have that with Zach. You know, he doesn't have any of that. He's like, okay, I'm going to do this. But Zach's not going to see that. Aaron would see it. So that's why he's there. He's there because, Aaron, if he has to run a triple option, Aaron's going to read the coverage. He's going to know which triple option he's going to sit in, and he's going to be open. Because I promise you, I will guarantee it right now, the first day that Aaron comes back, Allen Lazard's catching a touchdown pass. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just like the biggest lock of anything I've ever imagined. Zach, it's not the same. Zach is more of like a, hey, give me the ball and I'm going to make something happen. And he does. And Allen Lazard tries his absolute best to ruin it every single time. Even the no look that Zach threw in the fourth quarter the other day, he tried dropping that ball. Like he literally bobbled it 4 times and was like, oh, I guess maybe I'll catch it. It was too good. Like maybe and that's Zach doesn't get the benefit of the doubt because he doesn't deserve it, right? Like he definitely doesn't deserve it. It's been 3 years. You have not played really good football, but you want to look at numbers, right? These are here are numbers. The slant that Garrett Wilson dropped in the second quarter, 13 yards downfield, is a touchdown if he catches that ball. Because he splits the defenders and he's up the touchdown. So now instead of being 23 for 39, he's 24 for 39 for 290 and a touchdown. Okay. And then he drops another dime to Garrett Wilson on the sideline. Is it you know what I mean? Like it's a contested catch, but it's not a bad throw.
No.
Okay, now he's 25 for 39 for 340 and 2 touchdowns. Nobody is talking about him if they catch those passes.
No, and again, but that happens a lot, Mike. I mean, it happens a lot in football games. And
I understand
look,
that,
if you
Errol,
remember,
I can tell you, Errol, I promise you right now, if we sat next to each other and we watched that game, he had 3 pretty bad throws and a lot of bad luck.
Yeah,
stepping out of bounds.
Okay.
CJ Uzoma, Michael Carter again, Xavier Gibson, but everybody wants. It's just like Robert Saleh said last week. It's just so lazy to put it on him. You know what I mean? Like, give me some. Like, if you're going to be a guy who wants to do this, then go to the film and give me context, right? And like the Zach Wilson read to Lazard on that interception was fucking terrible, and he deserves every bit of criticism for it because it was bad. He stared at him. He let him sit in the zone. He didn't even look Spillane off. It was bad. And I'm not defending him. And everybody's like, oh, you think Zach Wilson's good? I'm like, no, I don't think Zach Wilson's good. I think Zach Wilson is a career backup who, in the right system, with if he got to play with Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey, like I could play quarterback for that team. You know what I mean? So
could Brock.
I'll tell you what, man, I really truly believe this. If Zach, even if we win the next couple of weeks, right? If Zach doesn't show like he's like a player, he's just not going to be there next year. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because they don't want him to be there. It's because he can't. You know what I'm saying? He can't be there. You look at the guys that are going to be free agents to back up Aaron. I would do anything for Sam Darnold to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 1 year.
I was very upset when the Jets decided to part ways, but the Jets did get a second and a fourth for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I'm just. I don't mean even then. Like, because that's fine. Like, I understand it. Like, I don't know how much better the Jets are with Penei Sewell and Sam Darnold. I just don't. And you got to remember, Sam Darnold's throwing the ball to guys like Robbie Anderson, Jameson Crowder. You give Sam Darnold, and then he went to Carolina and was throwing to DJ Moore, who was young at the time. And like, these guys aren't monsters.
And Robbie Anderson again, and he decided to have
Robbie Anderson again, exactly. And then of course he scorches us for a touchdown week 1 of the 2022 season. I was like, of course this would happen. You know what I mean? Like,
don't worry, the Dolphins will do that in the fourth quarter. They'll bring in Mike White and Braxton Berrios to do the same.
That's the thing. The Dolphins are another team that like I love their. First of all, I think Mike McDaniels is the coolest person alive. I would love to drink with him. I want to see something from them before I start giving them all their flowers. They don't do anything for me. They beat all the bad teams, as they should. They're like the Mets. Beat all the bad teams.
No, the Mets can't beat bad teams either.
Well, you're right. It's actually the opposite. The Mets beat the good teams and they lose to the bad teams. You're right. You're 100% right. But what I'm saying though is, I don't know. I don't know if they beat us on Black Friday. I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't trust them enough. I don't think we're a better football team than them by any means. I have to see it first. You know what I'm saying? Like, show me a little
honestly,
bit, maybe we'll talk about it.
Honestly, you sit back and as a Jet fan, I don't want to see them win because right now I have to trust the thought that if the Jets lose out the rest of the games, because I looked at their schedule, there's no easy game. Even against Washington, Sam Howell's been pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, but you got to remember these teams aren't they're not playing us in defensively, right? So if we can catch the football, and did you see Aaron on McAfee yesterday?
Yes.
Oh my God! First of all, he just says all the right things all the time. And when they're ripping apart Hackett, and he's like, "Listen, I won MVP twice in this offense. Settle down." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like he loves shutting people up, and he's good at it.
Well, people forget how great he is, so it doesn't really matter. He can hide. Man. He can hide any deficiency on any team because of how good he is.
Errol, do you know this? I'm sure you do, because you're this is your industry. If the Raiders beat the Dolphins,
I said it. Yes.
We play them on Black Friday for first place.
Yes. It has been said. Yes.
So what on earth would make you want to lose out games? You know what I'm saying? Like, you always want to have hope. You always.
We always have hope as Jet fans.
Oh, listen, you can go to my post on Facebook the other day. I said this. I was like, the Mets will get eliminated from the playoffs, but it's okay because the Jets are starting to play some pretty good football. And all of a sudden, the Jets will lose to some bad teams, but it's okay because the Rangers are rolling right now.
Hey, Mike, I want to ask you a question. I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you pull down your pants right now and tied a brick to the bottom of your penis, do you think it'll grow?
Yeah, duh.
the truth is, it's to me. You could say whatever you want, and you can believe whatever you want. You have to see it, and I don't believe it. Okay,
I know, but I know this is your job, so you have to create conversation. But from a spectator standpoint,
of course,
right? If Zach doesn't step out of bounds on that touchdown, they win the game, and we're not even talking right now.
You're absolutely right. And by the way, Zach Wilson's the only quarterback that would step out of bounds when he had the whole open on the field. He is the only quarterback that would do something so stupid like that.
He didn't do it on purpose. It was out of bounds by like a centimeter.
I mean, you would know you had a whole lane to run. Why would you be running on the sideline?
And then they draw up a perfect play call, and then CJ Uzoma decides that he just wants to be
a penalty,
mentally handicapped.
Yeah,
you know
well, he is mentally handicapped.
He stinks, that guy. And you see him on Twitter. This is what I hate. He's on Twitter, and he's liking tweets about people wanting him cut. Like, that's so corny to me, dude. Stay off of Twitter. You know what I mean? And can we talk about how bad is Jeremy Ruckert that CJ Uzoma is still playing football? No, I love Jeremy Ruckert, and he looks like a stud. But what does the coaching see from him that CJ Uzoma is playing football?
Oh, because they're paying him, and that because Aaron Rodgers loved him. That's why.
It's called sunk cost fallacy. You're paying him no matter what. Get him off the field.
Yeah, the Giants tried that with Kenny Golladay. At least they actually got him off the field, but they were still robbing them.
The thing, though, well, here's the difference. Kenny Golladay would be the best receiver on the Giants still.
I'm not going to go that far. I witnessed too much bad Kenny Golladay.
That team is so bad. I like Wendell Robinson, obviously, and I think Jalen Hyatt's going to be fine. But, like, they don't have anybody. I had my best friend. I was arguing with him at the beginning of the year. He's a Giants fan. And he was like, I actually like their weapons. I'm like, you could get through
I'm not saying I'm going to go that far. But
like, you could get through customs at an airport with those weapons, dude. Like, you legitimately could. You could get through customs at an airport with those weapons.
I'm not going to go that far to say that the weapons are good, but at least some of those guys can actually get open. Kenny Golladay could run around, he can't catch a pass, and it took him 2 years and play against the Eagles backups to catch a touchdown.
Point, though. Back to our first point of the conversation, Matt Stafford made him look pretty good.
For 2 years, and he was still inconsistent those years, too. And he's not a good route runner, and now he goes to play with Daniel Jones, who was not as developed at that time, and a terrible offensive line.
I remember like it was yesterday. All my Giant friends were going crazy, and I'm like, dude, He's gonna do nothing for you guys.
They
I don't
only
know why you don't see this.
They only paid him extra because they were trying to steal him from the Eagles because the Eagles were very interested in him. So
And they
imagine
should've
if the
let
Eagles
him.
were stuck with Kenny Galladay, they were never had
should've let
Devontae
him.
Smith.
And you know, and here's the funny thing: if Kenny Galladay went to the Eagles, he'd be a Pro Bowl player.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe Devontae Smith would end up a Giant then.
Which is unbelievable. AJ Brown's the best receiver I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's
It's
unbelievable.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody that goes, they go to the Eagles, and all of a sudden they're superstars, except for Nnamdi Asomugha. That guy couldn't get out of his own way.
You know what's so funny about AJ Brown? He was there when Elijah Moore was drafted, and he went out there out on a limb. He says he's a better player than me. Is he blind? Is he really blind? Because Elijah Moore has been nothing but an overrated player
this year.
Yes,
he has 35 catches this year. He would be second on the Jets, second on the team for the Jets. And I tell you what, if he's on the team against the Raiders, we probably win the game. I don't listen. I think he's a head case. I don't like players like that. I don't want them anywhere near my team. You know what I mean? So it's fine. Listen, he's not. Aaron Rodgers isn't a Jet if he doesn't get traded because we don't have that second pick. Like I get it, but like he'd be the second best receiver in the Jets, would he not?
He probably would be
better than Allen Lazard.
Yes,
you know,
definitely is.
What are you gonna? So you have Hard Knocks, right? And
Miami's on Hard Knocks now. They have the rest of the season. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait for Eli Apple to ruin that.
I like. By the way, I like McDaniel. I love the guy. I think he's so funny. He looks like a Smurf when he runs on the field. He's always he really does. He's so funny. Do you ever Mike? Have you ever seen his press conferences? They're so funny, dude. They have like this stool that he stands on so he can talk on the mic.
Who are you talking about?
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel, the coach.
He's hysterical.
He is so funny, dude. He is so funny, but so good.
It's almost to
so
the point
good.
where I feel like he's trying too hard. I'm like, I don't know if you're actually this funny or if you're just trying really, really hard.
He's like the White Urkel.
Absolutely. But I mean, I just don't know, man. Like, I don't know how you don't add a guy at the deadline like Curtis Samuel. Like, what is Curtis Samuel going to cost you? Like
less than Elijah Moore because he's older.
Yeah, he's not going to cost you anything. But like, that's a guy. Jamison Crowder went bananas for Washington a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like, he went bananas for Washington a couple weeks ago. We won't get anything like that from anybody on the team this year.
Well, he was a Jet, Jamison Crowder, for a little bit.
I know.
The Giants signed him at training camp.
But my point about Hard Knocks is like, what are you going to add 2 undrafted free agents to the roster if you're not going to let Jason Brownlee play football?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know why Brownlee hasn't been on the field.
There's no Cobb. You know what I mean? You traded Hardman. Okay. You clearly see that that the team's like the tight ends, like Uzomah stinks. Conklin's fine. I don't dislike.
I like Conklin.
Besides knocking that pass away from Garrett Wilson at the end of the game the other day.
By the way, that should have been caught.
How crazy is it, dude? That with our record right now, the Patriot game and the Raider game, both of those Hail Marys could have been caught. And the whole season, we could be in first place right now. It's just unbelievable. Like, to think like one little thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's one little thing. People, like the Bills fans, were talking about DeMar Hamlin the other day, and I was like, oh my god. They're like, if DeMar Hamlin, if he's not playing football right now, Ken Dorsey still has a job. You know what I mean?
I would agree with you. Yeah,
he's on the field when he's not supposed to be. They make the field goal the second time, and now Ken Dorsey gets fired. I know I'm just repeating what everybody else is saying, but like, you're not going to fire the offensive coordinator if you win the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like how, and think about it like this, right? I don't know if you remember the year that Quinnen got drafted.
Yep.
And I love Q. I have no problem with him. But towards the end of the season, Todd Bowles knows he's going to get fired at the end of the year, right? He's playing the Bills. And they're down 3 with a minute something left. And instead of going for it on the 2-yard line, instead of kicking a field goal on the 2-yard line to make it to tie the game and, you know, play defense, go to overtime, he runs the ball with Bilal Powell to the end zone. And
he'll be on our show tomorrow.
We
have Powell on. We have Powell on the show tomorrow, so you definitely have to tune in. Yeah,
that's so funny. Yeah, so they score the touchdown and they end up winning the game, which drops us from the 2 seed from the 2nd overall pick to the 3rd overall pick, preventing us from drafting Nick Bosa, who's the best defensive lineman in the NFL.
And then I will say
And
something.
I love Quinn Williams.
I think people forget, and everybody wants to attack Quinn Williams right now because he doesn't have the sacks. No, I'm not saying you, but everybody. I mean, he has a game record. He has been double teamed more than any player, defensive lineman in football right now. And this past week, he had 15 targets at the quarterback, which is the most in football in one game this year. So that tells you how dominant Quinn Williams is. It's just a shame that there's nobody on the edge that's opening it up for him. Now,
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think Jermaine Johnson's getting there. He's
Yes.
playing really good football.
So is Bryce Huff.
Everybody hates the Will McDonald pick, but the Will McDonald pick was for after Carl Lawson leaves. Will McDonald will be playing football.
Well, hold on one second. Johnson was he was a third down player last year. He barely played last year, and that's what Saleh usually does. He waits 2 years and then he puts him out there. I expect Will McDonald to be out there on every single play next year. Every single play.
I agree 100%. And you know what's crazy? So the Houston Texans are getting a lot of praise right now. So besides C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell, you know who the 3 best Texans are right now?
Who?
Sheldon Rankins, Blake Cashman, and George Fant, who's playing pretty good football at the tackle position. How
All
unbelievable is that?
I told you I loved the
It's
Rankins
jet-like.
contract at the time. So.
Sheldon Rankins is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, he's been great. He was great with the Saints, too. He was one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the league.
Yeah, Neville Hewitt's starting to slow down a little bit, but that guy was a tackle machine when he was with the Jets. He's on the Texans, too. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are, and it's just unbelievable to me. And listen, it's not fair. Al Williams is hurt. You know what I mean? Elijah Vera Tucker's hurt. You know, here's the thing. The Steelers and the Jets are the same exact team. They're the same exact team. Mike Tomlin's just a little bit of a better coach than Robert Saleh. Because I promise you this: if the Jets were in this situation, right? Like, how many teams in the NFL can you name, Errol, that if they lose their best offensive tackle, their Hall of Fame quarterback, okay, that are in the playoff race? Are the Chiefs in the playoff race without Pat Mahomes and their best offensive lineman? They're not.
No.
Are the Bills?
No.
Are the Bengals?
No.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Let's see. We can go down the line. You know what I mean?
The Bengals, especially, because the rest of their offensive line is not great besides
That's honestly, those are the 3 best teams in the NFL.
Allegedly.
And guess what? We are. Are we gonna get there? No, I don't. Unless we can.
First of all,
steal this one.
I don't think the Jets.
Listen, Zach plays pretty good. Zach plays pretty good against Buffalo, man. He's beaten them twice. You know, the zone defense that we run.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna make a bet with you. If Zach Wilson pulls off a win against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, I will take you out and your girlfriend to a steak dinner. Okay.
I'm in. All
right. But if he loses, okay, we got to figure out something that you're going to have to do. Okay.
Okay. How about this though?
Okay.
How about this? He has to have.
Okay. Here we go.
He has to have a turnover.
Has to have a turnover. Okay. Zach Wilson.
At least one. I don't care if it's his fault or not. Has to have a turnover.
Okay. All right. Let's
because
do it.
if he goes 20 for 35 for 230, a touchdown and like 40 rushing yards, and they lose the game, I'm not mad at him. I don't care. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not supposed to be a starting quarterback.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right, let's do it. Let's make the bet.
I love it.
Let's make the bet. You've got
Perfect.
it. You've got it, and
I'll even fly up for you.
All right. And listen. You and your girl could fly up, and I'll take you guys out to a nice steak dinner. But I'm telling you, don't quote me on this. You lose this bet, you got to pay up, man.
Absolutely. I have no problem.
I know, but
I have no problem doing it. I'll tell you what. I'll give you one little bit of insight. Right?
Here we go.
Obviously, I'm here in Tampa.
Okay.
And I work at a super high-end restaurant. I take care of a lot of people. I take care of a lot of bucks. A lot of people that are from. You know, I've served John Cena before. I don't talk to any of them. Right. So one night, it was a Sunday. It was about a week before the Aaron Rodgers to the Jets thing started happening, like just becoming a thing. And I get a chit saying like the table name and whatnot, and all I see is Valdez Scantling. All right, so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to say anything to him. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to. So then he starts talking in the room with his friends and there's some girls in there, and his friend asks him, "Who's a better quarterback, Pat Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers?" And he's like, ain't nobody ever throw it like Aaron, dude. Aaron is the GOAT. So I look at him and I was like, dude, you can't be saying that to me right now. There's rumblings about him being a Jet. I'm a Jet fan. He looks at me, smiles. He's like, oh, you're a Jet fan? He whips out his phone, shows me his FaceTime. He's like, I was on FaceTime with him for 45 minutes today. And he shows it to me, to my face. He's like, I ain't going to say much. Y'all going to be all right. tells me Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet, basically, to my face. I'm like, oh, my God, dude, you can't do that to me. He's like, nah, I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying y'all going to be all right. You're going to be all right. The day that everything started happening, he comes back to the restaurant just to see me, dude. He's like, I told you everything was going to be all right. So he is such a cool dude, man. He's a very well-spoken gentleman. He's from the Tampa area, and he told me, he's like, yo, you guys are going to be good. And I sent it in my group chat. He's just the coolest dude. I'll tell you what, before I hang up, I'm going to get, I'm the biggest Met fan on the planet.
Of course.
There is not a better human on the planet than Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is the best. Oh, my God, just the nicest person you could ever meet. He is so respectful, doesn't care about himself at all, just cares about the people around him. And I've been lucky enough to take care of him a few times, and just he literally makes me like happy that there are people like that in the world. You know what I mean? Like, he's just such a good person. And
so are you, my friend. So are you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I miss seeing you.
I
in the
miss
LA
you
Fitness
too, man.
locker room.
I miss you too, man.
But
listen,
keep
tuning in.
Keep going with the show.
Thank you, man.
Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, man.
Well, I'll be on plenty of times.
Of course, man.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Mike,
I appreciate you.
we got
Thank you so much for having me.
We got Tim Hardaway coming up, so you better tune in.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Listen, Bilal Powell, send him my love and tell him I said thank you.
Well, you can send it yourself. You can tune in, man.
I mean, you're right. Listen, I will make it a point to, okay? I will make it a point.
Remember that bet, man. Don't forget that bet.
Listen, I'm here. Don't worry about it.
I got you. Mike, thank you for calling.
All right, brother. Thank you. Bye.
Mike Geiger, fantastic kid. He really is. Great personality. Everything about him. I've known him for years, and I met him at the gym. The guy's an amazing bartender. He really is. And he does real estate out there in Tampa. He does a very good job over there. Him and his girl moved out there, and they're doing very, very well for themselves. So I'm very, very happy that everything is going well for him. So thank you, Mike, for calling the show. We're waiting for Tim.
It looks like Matty Caps is trying, I think.
All right, put him through quick. Put him through. Matt, what's up, man?
Yo, Arrow Marks, my guy. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, man?
I was just listening to you, and can we stop with the Jets, please? Can we please stop?
Here he
with
goes
the
with
Jets?
the great Jeff. Mm-hmm.
What? No, I'm just asking. Can we please stop with the Jets?
All we spoke about is Zach Wilson and how I threw Zach Wilson under the bus like I've done the last couple of weeks.
He sucks. Zach Wilson sucks.
No question. What do you think I was been saying? So I mean,
Zach Wilson sucks. The Jets stink. The Giants are even worse.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to call to say hello to my guys. Say hello to Speedy. You. I miss you all. I miss Jeff. I miss Snug.
You can come in whenever you want, man. I told you that.
I know. I need to come in within the next few weeks. I need to get back on there. I miss the radio.
Yes.
But can we talk a little something?
Go ahead.
You're a Jet fan.
Yep. Unfortunately,
you really don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back, right?
I do. I not this year, but I do.
Okay,
I can't see the Jets
that's what I meant.
bringing him back. Yeah.
Year.
No, I can't.
Well, he's obviously signed for another year.
Yeah. So no, he signed for another 2 years, actually. It's 3 years.
The third year's an option.
Yeah, but he's going to take the option. He definitely is.
Well, I think
no
after not
question.
playing this year, he's going to.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't think why would he come back? Unless the Jets are a contender in December and where they're fighting. I don't think so either. So I think they'll be completely out after they lose against the Bills. So,
well, the Bills are the worst. I've been saying this for a couple of years now. Bills stink. The Bills are absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
How can anyone be confident in them to do anything?
I'm not confident for anything with the Bills, but I don't like the Diggs brothers attacking Josh Allen. This is not all Josh. I do not. This is
Well,
not
first of
Josh
all,
Allen's
when
fault.
the offensive coordinator gets fired, it's not the offensive coordinator's fault that Josh Allen threw 2 interceptions and he fumbled on the first play of the game. That's like the offensive coordinator's fault. That's Josh Allen's fault. One of the interceptions should have been caught by Gabe Davis that went right through his hands. Don't know how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh Allen, he has the most interceptions since he came into the league throughout the entire league.
So
every
did Brett
single year.
Favre. What does that mean? So did
What
Brett
do you mean?
Favre. But Brett Favre had the most interceptions almost every single year, and he won a couple MVPs. He was still one of the elite quarterbacks in the league, was he not?
At that time, yeah.
Yeah, he was. I mean, and
At
we can
that
name a
time,
bunch of
Brett Favre-
quarterbacks. We can name a bunch of quarterbacks that were elite.
It's not like this. It's Josh Allen is he's not the guy. They're not going to win with their head coach, McDermott.
Well, McDermott's going to get fired at the end of the year.
I think so too.
Mhm.
McDermott's not going to win.
And there will be coaches there are a couple of good coaches that will be available in the offseason, and they'll find somebody.
The coach's merry-go-round will start.
Oh, well,
after-
always
after the
does.
season.
Always does. Yep.
After the season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to call to say hello to you guys, and I think you guys are doing great. I miss
Thank you.
guys,
Thank
and
you.
I'll
Thank
be-
you.
I'll be in soon, and
Awesome. We want you to come back.
I'm not going to bust your chops, but Snug wanted me to ask you
Okay,
a question
here we
about
go, here we
94
go.
miles an hour. I don't know what that
70
means.
miles per hour.
70 miles an hour, sorry.
They're just idiots, you know.
I don't
One
know what
after
that
the
means.
other.
I don't know what that means, so that's why I'm not going to bring it up.
70 miles per hour. We'll tie him to, a carriage and we'll throw him in a carriage and tie it to my car, and we'll see how fast I can
gotta
go
get
with him.
We got to get Snug to New York. That's what we need to do.
You think Snug is actually going to come to New York? He hates New York. He's never going to come here. We would have to go to him in Sacramento, and have like a bunch of candy and cupcakes waiting for him. That's the only way he comes on the show.
Enjoy going to Sacramento to see my man Snug. As long as Jeff from Tampa could come.
Oh, please. Only if you throw him in the trunk.
We would have a great time if that was the case.
All right, so we'll all go and we'll throw Jeff in the trunk.
Jeff's my guy. It's too bad he's a Patriot fan. He's my guy even more. Because the Patriots are just as bad as the Jets, maybe even worse.
Stark says, I come to New Jersey, maybe.
Of course. He won't step foot in New York. He already came out and said that. He hates New York. But, that's, I guess,
I don't blame
that's
him.
the way it works.
I don't blame him.
It's never fun. There's no sharing when it comes to Jeff and Snug. Okay. So.
That's a good way to put it.
They're great. I miss them. I miss you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you, man.
But I know you guys.
Your kids are
gotta-
beautiful, by the way. They're
Thank
so
you,
cute.
appreciate that.
They're so cute. man.
I know Tim Hardaway is coming on soon. so
Yeah,
that's
we're
really
waiting for him. He should be on soon, hopefully. He knows to come on. So you know what always happens? We have them, they know they come on, and then they come on. Oh, well, hold on. He's trying. He says,
All right, go do it. I'll talk to you guys later.
all right, man. Matty Caps, ladies and gentlemen. So he's trying to come on, Speedy. Send it to him again. And we're just waiting for Tim Hardaway, and I know he's looking forward to come on the show. It's crazy. It's been a great show so far. We had Mike Geiger, good friend of mine, guy that is a huge football fan and huge sports fan. He's a Knicks fan. He's a Met fan, diehard Met fan, and he's obviously a Jet fan. So and he, like he said, he met Aaron Judge, and when you meet these guys, sometimes you never realize how either nasty they are or how nice they are. Yes, it's Zoom, right? Speedy's going on Zoom.
It's StreamYard.
Yeah, well, he said something about Zoom. You got to send him StreamYard. Send him the link. Tell him to go on it. It's not Zoom. Tell him it's not Zoom. That it's StreamYard, and that we sent him the link, and all he has to do is clock right in. He can always call the show. We can do it that way if it's easier for him. But see if he can do it that way. But yeah. So honestly, what we've seen so far going into Week 11 in football is there's a lot of questions in the AFC because we all know what Miami is. Miami right now could run away with that division. Okay. And if they win this week and the Jets lose against Buffalo, I don't think Buffalo or the Jets are making the playoffs, being that the AFC North is so strong, and you have Cleveland and the Bengals and Pittsburgh and the Ravens. I mean, that division 3 teams are coming out of that division. I mean, the Chargers aren't making the playoffs. I don't know why anybody believes that's going to happen. They're going to fire the coach at the end of the year. And everybody keeps talking about this Bill Belichick thing. There was a story coming out. Jeff sent me something a little while ago before the show, and he said that there is some rumblings that if Bill Belichick gets let go, that he could be a Cowboy, that he can actually take over the Cowboy job. So I know a lot of people sitting here today, and I don't see him going to the Cowboys because then everybody would say he's following Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells. We've seen this before. Bill Parcells went to the Jets. He went to the Jets. The Bill Parcells went to the Cowboys. So there's a lot of things. What is he figuring it out now, Speedy? Tell him to call the show if it comes down to it, Speedy.
I just did. Yeah,
tell him to call the show. We'll put him on. He obviously can't come on the stream, and that's fine. Why don't we go to a quick break? Let's go to a quick break, Speedy. When we come back, we should have Tim Hardaway here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, as you know. This is the Sports Loudmouth. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can call us at 631-672-3108 is the number. As you heard Mike Gardner, as you heard Matty Caps, they're all calling the show tonight and throwing us a little bit of a curveball, and as we give everybody and all the fans out there a chance to speak. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on our show, we're very happy to have him on. We've had a little bit of problems over there on the other side of the, the spectrum. We're now talking to Hall of Famer point guard Tim Hardaway. Tim, what's up, man?
Nothing, man. How y'all doing?
You look good, man. I mean, we have a lot to get into with the NBA because the NBA has been crazy with this tournament. I don't understand it. The NBA adding all these different riffs, and I understand what they're trying to do with, new jerseys and new floors and everything that they're trying to sell to the fan. And that's good for the youngsters. But for us older guys, we never saw anything like this in the time that you played, when Jordan played and everything like that. Before we get into that, how are you and your family doing with everything with COVID and now that the flu season's here? Are you guys good?
Yeah, we good, man. We just trying to stay healthy and not trying to, be in bad elements, and just staying free of all that type of stuff. So we do a good job at that. And, there's a lot of things going on out here. And, our prayers and everything go to everybody that's out here that's, feeling a lot of things that's going on. But, we are, we safe and sound, and that's what we like to be. Thanks a lot. I hope y'all are well too.
Absolutely. Everything that's going on in the world with Israel and Hamas, and then over there in Ukraine. I mean, everybody's talking about a world war. I mean, and we're sitting here and we're lucky to have the army that we have. We're living in a place that we're safe, and hopefully it stays that way. It's crazy what's going on in the world. And, with these third world countries and all that other craziness that's going on in the world. I mean, I'm happy to be alive, and I'm happy to be safe, and happy to be doing a show and actually be able to speak before, because over there in certain countries, you can't even speak your piece. You say something wrong, your head could be off, So.
Yeah. But you just got to pray,
yes,
and hopefully they get through it, and and everything will be all right. And I'm just praying for them and everybody, and lives is being lost over there and over here. Just got to pray and hope everything is well.
Yeah. So Tim, let's get into it. And I'm a New York Knicks fan. Okay, I am just going to give you that. And growing up, I'm from the time that you played. I remember when you were drafted by the Golden State Warriors. I know everything about your career. And when you went to Miami, I couldn't stand you because you always killed the Knicks. I always tried to figure out ways to throw a curveball every time I had a chance to watch you play. And I'm just throwing that out over there. And I remember when Tim Hardaway Jr. was drafted by the New York Knicks, and I sat there and I started itching my head. I said, if he could be anywhere what his father was as a player, we've got something. And your son was a good player for the Knicks. Mm-hmm. And he obviously went to Dallas, and he's there, and he's a 6th, 7th man for the Dallas Mavericks. He gives them great offense, 3-point shooter, does a lot of things offensively for the Dallas Mavericks, and plays with one of the great players in the NBA.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what was it like first being drafted by the Golden State Warriors and then going to Miami and having all those crazy games against my Knicks?
Well, first of all, Don Nelson did a great job in constructing the Golden State Warriors, the big three there with Ron TMC, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin and myself. And, we had fun out there. We enjoyed it. And, we brought a lot of excitement to the NBA. And, we started this, running, gunning, but running and gunning in a way where, we know how to get people involved and run offense. It was like chaos for us, for other teams. We had a different type of offense that nobody really knew how to play against on the defensive end. And Don Nelson was, knew how to innovate the big man, point forward, and Tom Tolbert, Rod Higgins, Billy Owens, just run the offense. And it was just, people didn't know how to play against that. And now they do, and now it's revolved to this day. And going to the Miami Heat, playing with the Miami Heat, it was great. I played for 3 Hall of Fame coaches, and Don Haskins, Don Nelson, and Pat Riley, and it was just great, man. And just understanding their minds and the great minds that they had, and understanding how to coach. Back in a lot of people don't know, Don Haskins was he started 5 African Americans in a NCAA tournament championship game against Adolph Rupp and Kentucky Wildcats and beat them. And they had the guys went out there with great poise and understood what they needed to do to win the game. And they pressured the ball, got up into him. And Bobby Joe Hill, he did what he's supposed to do and ran the show. But just playing with those coaches and them giving me the keys to the car and letting me go out there and run the show like I know how I can run the show, and giving my team confidence to go out there and play each and every night, and giving us a chance to win, knowing how to pass, knowing how to run the team, and get myself off when I needed to. And so, it was great. And I had so much fun playing in NBA because I loved the game of basketball, and I was a student of the game of basketball. I understood how to play the game of basketball. I knew how to orchestrate the game of basketball. I knew how to control the team, control the game for our team each and every night. And I knew who needed the ball, and I knew who to go to at different times of the game and to win the game. So, it was just great basketball back then, like it is now. Like I said, I had fun and playing against the Knicks, the Mecca, as they call it. It was great playing in the guard, man. That's when you play in a guard, you don't have to really get ready for the team. You got to get ready for the atmosphere at the Garden. It's great atmosphere at the Garden. The team is going to play, but the atmosphere, it can make you or break you.
So I want to ask about Chris Mullin, because obviously everything he's done off the field since his NBA career ended has been a very influential guy. What was he like as a teammate off the court as well?
Oh man, great teammate, workaholic. I mean, workaholic. In the gym every day, all day. You had to get him out the gym. You had to just Chris, let's go home, man. He worked before the game. He worked before practice. He worked during the game. Constant movement. I back when he was playing with St. John's, I loved watching him play at St. John's. I love watching him how he his charisma out there. You couldn't give him a shot, because if he was open, you could bank it. Put that in the books, chalk that one up. So, but he was a great teammate, a consummate pro, always came to work, loved the game, great basketball IQ, but just loved the game, loved to play the game. If after the game, he wanted to play some more, but that's how great a shape he was in.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Hall of Famer point guard Tim Hardaway. Played for the Warriors, the Heat, the Mavericks, Nuggets, and the Pacers. But you remember him with the Golden State Warriors and the Miami Heat. I used to call him the Tick, because every time he played the Knicks, he was a bloodsucker. And he did 30 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds every single game. We had Chris Charles on last week, and we mention your name all the time, every time he's been on our show. And he says, yeah, Timmy was a pain in the you-know-what. And honestly, I couldn't stand you. But when I actually watched your Hall of Fame, when you spoke at the Hall of Fame and really showed your sincerity and who you are as a player on and off the court, as a family man, and everything that you've done, and you show not only what you were as a family man, but what you really dedicated as a basketball player in your life. It's amazing. What was it like to speak at the Hall of Fame in front of all your peers, all the people that respect you and knew you as a player?
Well, first of all, Chris Childs, a great competitor. Always brought out the best in me. Picked me up full court, made me work for every bucket that I got, made me work just to bring the ball up each and every minute of the game. He doesn't get a lot of credit for, what he went through to have a great career in the NBA. So kudos to him. At the Hall of Fame, I just want to thank everybody that was behind me, that encouraged me, that gave me confidence, that helped me through trials and tribulations with my knee and with my ACL in '93. Kept me going, kept my mind in it, made me understand, what was the big picture. So I just wanted to thank them, thank my family, my parents, my brother, for being there with me day one, 6th grade, all the way up to that point. My wife, been there through thick and thin. When I first started out, we didn't know what to expect. And she was right there and didn't waver. And, she makes this family go. She keeps this family together. And that's what your better half supposed to do. And I love her to death. And without her, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And the kids, two lovely daughters and my son playing basketball. Matter of fact, he's on right now. He has a good game up in Washington. I'm watching him. And, but it was just, it wasn't for me. It was for all of us, all the South Side, West Side, everybody who played against me, everybody who challenged me, everybody who doubted me. It was for all of them, not only me, but for all of them. And I told them, man, I always tell them thank you for giving me the confidence to go out there and play. So I just want that's what the whole speech was about, complimenting them, thanking them. And it was for all of us, not just me, just all of us.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to ask about your son. Like, since he came into the NBA, obviously, like we said, drafted by the Knicks and still playing very well.
Mm-hmm.
What has been, from your perspective, like his journey, and being involved in his game?
It was tough. His journey was tough. A lot of people didn't have the confidence in him. We always had the confidence in him. That's why we here. Our family. It's about him and making sure that we behind him. Whatever decision he make, go out there and play with a lot of confidence. But it was tough. He played and then he went to Atlanta. Coach Bud put him in the G League. And, that was adversity. And I said, look, man, if you want to be in this league, you got to show them that you belong. So you got to go down there and show the coach that, he wants you to work on some things, go down there and work on some things and then come back up and show him that, that you're ready and you're prepared and you're ready to hoop. And that's what he did. And once he did that, he understood the NBA, understood how hard it is to play in the NBA. Understood how what it takes to play and make it and keep playing and keep making it in the NBA. And he's coming off the bench right now, and he understands his role. He don't like it, but he wants to start. But you got to understand that, hey, it doesn't matter as long as if you're in the game at the end of the game when it counts. And that's what they have, man, when it counts, because they trust him. They trust his ability to shoot. They trust his ability to make decisions. They trust his ability to play defense, to rebound, take charges. So it's kudos to him to go out there and whatever predicament they put him in. Yes, I could do it. But understand that I'm much more than what you think I am. And he's a basketball player. He's just not a shooter. He's a basketball player.
We are talking to Hall of Famer point guard Tim, or I call him Timmy was Hardaway. But anyways, but there were two point guards growing up, and I'm 41 years old. There were two point guards that just annoyed me, Isaiah Thomas and you, because both guys, you guys were like fleas. Every single time I saw you guys I've seen both of you guys play at the Garden. I've seen you both live, and you would be hurt and you would still put up a 30. You'd still give 10 assists, always in Madison Square Garden. I never understood it. You were limping on the court. I'm like, oh, Tim Hardaway's not going to have a good day. And he puts up a 32 points, 10 assists, 11 assists, and 6 rebounds. Always killed the Knicks, always killed our point guards. It didn't matter who it was, Charlie Ward, Chris Childs. It didn't matter who it was. It pissed me the hell off. And I couldn't stand it. I really couldn't. You were one of those guys that when I would leave the stage, I couldn't even answer the questions when people were telling me, well, what was it like watching, a guy like Tim Hardaway? I was like, he was annoying. He was a flea. But, it's so interesting when you watch the game of basketball and you're trying to compare some of these guys to some of the great point guards in the league. And you look at guys like Tim Hardaway, guys like, Isaiah Thomas. And now you look at Steph Curry, and then you look at guys like Kyrie Irving, and even Allen Iverson never gets the credit as good of a player he is. As a matter of fact, we've had ex-football players, NFL players, telling me that James Harden was a better player than Allen Iverson, which is absolutely ludicrous. Okay. But yes, you're making the face.
That's
By
a
the
perfect
way,
reaction.
Eric Coleman, I'm going to give you his name, Mr. Jet himself on MSG. Yes.
who said that to me on national radio. And I said, you are an idiot, Eric. I mean, I can't believe you said that. Just for that, I should just mute you. But anyways, what type of players that you have seen in the NBA now, who could you compare your skill, your talent to that plays in the NBA today?
Oh man, Kyrie Irving. His ball handling skills, how he gets to the basket, how he make plays at the basket, can pass the ball. Love playing the game. A lot of people don't realize Kyrie Irving loved to play the game. He knows how to pass the ball. He knows how to get his guys the basketball when they're open. He reminds me of myself, but he does also reminds me a lot of Rod Strickland. Finishing at the rim, any type of way. Left hand, right hand, herky jerky with the basketball. But just him. And another guy that doesn't get a lot of credit. Drew Holiday, man, he's a three-dimensional basketball player, offense, defense, rebounding. He doesn't get credit for how he finished around the basket too, and how he makes people better around him. And Milwaukee is going to miss him. Milwaukee is going to miss him in his leadership. Steph Curry, he's in a league of his own. I mean, what he does out there on the basketball court, oh my God. I love watching the Warriors play because they play the right way. They pass the ball, they move without the basketball. They got a great nucleus, they got a great team that understands, and they know they have, all of them have basketball IQ. They just got to stay healthy. If they stay healthy, I think they can make another run at it. But it's a lot of guys out there that plays with a lot of confidence and goes out there and helps their team win. I like watching Tatum and Brown. I like from the Boston Celtics. I like watching Quigley from Philadelphia 76ers. He plays the right way. But man, I just love watching the game of basketball, and when it's played the right way, I can watch it. When it's played not the right way, I can't watch it. But I'm going to tell you this, man. Leon Rose and those guys, they have done a great job out there in New York. Getting Brunson was a real big piece to the puzzle. And without him, they will be lost. He gives them a lot of confidence. He stabilized the team. He stabilized the game, and he knows what he needs to do to get other people involved and get himself involved and take over the game. So I like what he does too.
I will say this. Jalen Brunson was a great contract. He's really helped develop R.J. Barrett. Look what R.J. Barrett's doing this year. When he is on the court, it's a different team. The Knicks do not win without him on the court. So you could see the difference in the transition. But, by the way, as everybody knows, if you're tuning in right now, we are talking to Hall of Famer, point guard Tim Hardaway. If you don't know him, then you don't know basketball. It's so interesting. You mentioned Steph Curry, and I'm not a big Steph Curry fan, not because I don't think he's the greatest 3-point shooter in NBA history. There's just stuff about him I don't like, but that's a whole nother story. But there was a story that came out a couple of months ago, and he said Steph Curry came out and said that he's the greatest point guard to ever step on a basketball court. And Magic Johnson said, well, wait a second. Did you forget about me? And he mentioned a bunch of other point guards, and you were one of the other point guards that he mentioned. So do you think Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time? Tim Hardaway.
Not the greatest point guard of all time. Greatest guard, one of the greatest guards of all time. Yes. Point guard, Magic Johnson, of course. Isaiah Thomas, myself. When you get Magic, won 5 NBA championships, was one of assist leaders, rebound leaders, and he was doing it at 6'9". He is the greatest point guard that ever played this game. Steph Curry is, I think, one of top 3 guards
Interesting.
that ever top 5 guards that ever played this game. You know, you go. I mean, have anybody ever seen Andrew Toney and what he did with the Philadelphia 76ers? If he didn't have bad feet, oh my God. Woo, wait. You know, you got Joe Dumars, you got Isaiah Thomas, you know. You got a lot of guards out here that have done it. Walt Frazier, you know, that have done it. And without shooting twos, I mean threes, without shooting threes.
Yep.
You know, so I think he's one of the top 5 guards in the game. Yes, but point guards, no.
So I want to ask about one point guard that's had a little bit of a rocky offseason. Chris Childs, we were mentioning with him a lot, and that's John Morant, with all the issues that he's gone through. What are your thoughts on that whole situation with him?
He needs some guidance. He needs to listen to some of the old heads that's trying to reach out to him and talk to him. I learned that, you know, he's not really talking to nobody. He's being secluded. I hope he's getting the tutelage and everything that he needs, getting his mind together and understanding what he needs to do, because we need him back in the game. We need him back in the NBA. He's an exceptional player, an exciting player, and we miss him. I know the Memphis Grizzlies miss him right now too. And I wish him well, and I hope he comes back ready to go, ready to play, and being exciting again, like he the way we know he could be. And we miss him. We definitely miss him. And I just want him to come back. That's all.
Tim, there is a player that needs a lot of help, and that's Draymond Green, okay? I don't care what anybody says. What he did last night, this isn't the World Wrestling Federation. This isn't mixed martial arts. This guy, you see, Thompson start a fight, and then all of a sudden this guy jumps on Rudy Gobert's back and puts him in a rear naked chokehold and just tries to mug him. I don't know what the hell's wrong with this guy. I mean, I know a little bit about the guy. I know some stupid things he's done over the years, but this might be the dumbest. He gets a 5-game suspension and $200,000. Is this enough for a guy like Draymond Green? I mean, he was stomping up people's balls during a playoff game. I mean, he's got 2 left feet. I don't know what he has. Maybe he has a right one somewhere. Maybe he's hiding one somewhere else. I don't know. But what's going on with this guy?
Well, you know, the history, that's why he got the 5 games, his history. And everybody knew. I didn't know it was going to be 5 games. I thought it was to be 1 or 2 games, maybe 3 games, but 5 games. I guess Joe Dumars thought it was excessive. The chokehold was excessive. He's trying to put him to sleep. You know, and I guess they was looking at his face too, and like, you know, it was malicious. It was definitely malicious. But it's his background. You know, it is going back, you know, back in the playoffs 5, 6, 7 years, way back when LeBron and all that type of stuff. So that's why they punishing him like that. It's just unfortunate for him. It's just unfortunate for him. And he really has to calm himself down and get a hold of himself. And because his team is going to miss him. His team is going to, he's not hurting himself. He's hurting his team too, and the organization. And, you know, you just got to calm yourself down and control yourself and understand, you know, this is bigger than you. And so I hope he understands that. But, you know, Draymond is Draymond, and he's going to be himself, and he's going to go out there and play the way he plays and do what he does. And but he has to learn that this is it's not good for him, the NBA, or his team.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hardaway. We should get you, Bill Lambier, Dennis Rodman, and Isaiah Thomas sitting around him. And
Yeah, you know what? Back then you could do that. You know, in the 80s and the early 90s, you could do that. But now you can't do that now. I mean, a little hit in the head will
Cause a player to flop and whine like James Harden.
James Harden, LeBron James. I mean, all you got to do is flick LeBron James's ear, and he's going, it's flagrant foul, foul.
Well, now you know that they're going to flopping is a technical now.
Yeah, it is.
So you can't flop no more. You know, you can't flop it. If the ref thinks it's flop, they're gonna call it technical foul now.
All right, so I want to go to James Harden. My last question, that whole drama of this offseason. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on him just trying to cause chaos with another franchise?
Well, he's been doing this since OKC. I'm gonna say this. I done seen GMs, president lie to players all the time. He's not the first. He's not gonna be the last. They tell you something in the spur of the moment, but they know they don't mean it. They know that they shouldn't have probably said it at that particular time, and things happen. And of course, of a season where things change, and so he has to understand that. So, like I say, you could call it a lie, you call it not telling you the truth or whatever, but it's been like that since day one. And it's going to continue to do it. But I wouldn't have never came out and say that. I would have went to him, talked to him in his office. We would have had a big argument probably, or cursing each other out. But we would have understood each other, and he would have understood where I was coming from and everything. But you just don't go and say it on social media or out loud. You could take care of that in a small room and talk together and make sure that both parties understand where you stand at, and go from there. And another thing, Daryl Morey and Elton Brand, you got to. They did the right thing. I'm talking about it and saying, look, you got to practice, man. I got to see where you at. He thought he could just come and practice one day and go play. No, now you saying now I should have had a training camp. I'm not in shape, or I'm not, where I need to be. They knew that. We knew that. That's why you got to go out there and practice. That's why you got to go out there and get ready for the games. You just can't miss 10 days of practice and then come and say, yeah, I'm ready to play. No, it doesn't go like that. And now he's saying that. Now he sees that he should have had a practice. And I feel bad for Tyronn Lue, because they put him in a bad situation where you got 4 guys that's ball dominant and needs a basketball. And I just don't feel that it's going to work there. I really don't feel that it's going to work there. I think he should have stayed with Philadelphia. That's his best spot to probably win a championship. But he's saying that it's going to take when they figure it out. But when you going to figure it out? If you win 1 or 2 games, that's not figuring it out. You got to figure it out right now. In the last 5 games, they haven't figured it out. So, like I said, I feel bad for Tyronn Lue, and we'll see what happened. But I didn't think that was the right trade for the Los Angeles Clippers.
I've got something before we let you go. Who am I? Practice? We're talking about practice. Who am I?
But I'm going to tell you something. You knew Allen Iverson, and you knew what he was going to bring. He was going to come in and bring it each and every night, no matter what, offensively, defensively, making shots, making the right pass, rebounding, whatever it is, diving for the ball. He was a gamer. And he went out there and played hard each and every night. And he gave his team a chance to win each and every night. And they knew what they had. And yeah, I can understand him going off about practice, because they was talking about practice. There's a lot of people that miss practice. Michael Jordan missed practices, shoot arounds and stuff like that. But hey, I mean, one thing about Allen Iverson, he was going to come and bring it no matter what. And, he wasn't going to lay down, and that's what I love about Allen. When you laced up your shoes, first of all, you're going to be in the track meet. Second of all, you was going to have to run all over the court and guard him, and try to stop him and make it hard for him. And, that's the first guy I never, ever seen that ever broke a sweat. He could play 48 minutes. He could play 52 minutes. That man never broke a sweat. He never act like he was tired.
Well, you don't have to tell me, Tim. I love that Iverson.
And let me say this. Let me say this about the game now and the end season tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, man. I like the floor. Some people don't like the floor. I think it's innovative. I think it's innovative for the fans. I think it's innovative for the players. The players go out there, they see the court, they're like, "Oh man, some of the courts are crazy. Some of the courts are loud." But I'm gonna tell you this. I like it. I like how they their uniforms are too for the Tuesdays and Fridays game. I like it. And I think the in-tournament games are really good. When I didn't understand it at first, and then I read it and I understood it then after I read it and really broke it down. I understood what they were saying. And I think it's good. And I think the guys like it too, because whoever holds that trophy up, you gotta understand, each person on that team gets $500,000, and the coach gets $500,000 too. And then they break it down into increments with the assistant coaches. So whoever holds that trophy up in December 9th, it could be a team that's out of it, and they could find themselves just by winning that tournament, and that could take them all the way to the playoffs and make them a family. And be whole and understand what they need to do as a team. So I like it, and I think the teams like it too.
Well, we like you, my friend, and I'll take back all those years of hating you when I watched you play basketball. But as a person off the court, and I got a chance to watch your Hall of Fame speech. I thought it was fantastic. And you as a family person and what you're doing right now for the NBA, and you were scouting, you were doing so many different things. And I think it's amazing. Keep up the good work. We'd love to get you on again. You give us so much. You give us so much in this interview.
Let me say this. I'm on the Carlton show on Fox Sports 1. I go back on right after it's heavy football now, but I go back on right after New Year's. And I come on at 7 a.m. Fox Sports 1, the Carlton show. Check it out right now. They on. He's funny. We all funny. And but it's heavy football right now. But I'm watching, and I got a lot of intel on a lot of things that's going on in the NBA, a lot of information. So check us out after the first of the year, and I'll be on. But I love to come back on again and give my takes. But man, NBA is fantastic.
Yeah, well, listen, the next time we get you on, I might have to see, some dancing, maybe a tap dance or something. It's something, man. I think you did a couple of dances. You were doing some dances when you played the Knicks on the.
Maybe we need to bring Eric Coleman on.
And I tell you this right now, I go to when I'm in New York. It's fans. They say the same thing. I hate you, but I love you. I hate you, but I love you. Mm-hmm. That's a good sense, because you. Knick fans know basketball, and they studious of basketball. And if they hate you, they'll hate you, and they'll be like they done with you. Mm-hmm. But they tell the truth, and I like the Knicks fans, and I like being around them, because y'all know basketball, and y'all know what you all talking about. Y'all studious of the game, and I appreciate you all.
Well, we appreciate you, man, and keep up the good work, and we will tune in, as I know Craig Carton myself. So.
Okay, good.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all soon.
Tim Hardaway, ladies and gentlemen, first time on our show. Fantastic, great interview. We got a lot of information from him. I mean, everything that he thinks about the league and the growth of the league, some of the players, and then even his career. Very, very interesting interview. I know he's been waiting. When we come back, we will be talking to co-founder of All 22 Premium Fantasy Football, our friend, as he's been on a show before, Ray Cotto. Cotto. I'm sorry, right? Am I right? See, I'm back and forth with the name, but I know it's Ray Cotto here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631. Yes, 67231. 08 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I am the Loudmouth with Speedy Petey, the greatest, the craziest, the nuttiest. Does he have nuts? I don't know. Speedy, you have nuts?
I do.
Oh, there you go. What kind of nuts do you have?
I'm not going that far.
No grapefruits. Those aren't nuts, but they might.
Why are you trying to make it awkward for Ray coming in?
I don't know. www.worldwidesportsradio.com to go to a website. You can tune in to all the different shows, our live coverage throughout the week. You can check out the Sports Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. The great guests, the great content, and the callers. As we all know, Jeff loves to attack me and do stupid things. But, we've had my friends on the show all throughout the show, so we're very happy.
And the return of Matty Caps.
The return of the crazy Matty Caps. Matty. But anyways, there is another return of a guy that's been on our show quite a few times, and we're happy to have him. We're now talking to co-founder of All 22 Premium Fantasy Football, Ray Cotto. Ray, what's up, man?
How's it going? Good evening. Good to see you again.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm sorry that you had to wait, but it was the first time Tim came on a little bit late. And then, Tim gave us so much information. If you're not a Tim Hardaway lover or hater, well, shame on you. I mean, watching Tim, you guys are too young, but when I was a young kid, when I was your guys, I was a little bit younger than you guys. What are you, 23, 24?
I wish. I certainly don't feel that way anymore. So.
Well, how old are you?
I just turned 32. I had to actually look at the calendar now to see, how old am I again?
You're still young. You're
still a baby, according to him.
Yeah,
you're younger than him.
Hey, you're 9 years younger than me. But I watched Tim Hardaway for years, and he pestering, tick that he was. And when I got a chance to watch his Hall of Fame speech when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame recently, I really respected who he was as a player, because as you love to hate somebody, you never really got a chance to understand how special he was as a player. And when he spoke at his speech, it really changed my mind about who he was. Not only because I didn't know him personally, but as a professional athlete, he was a pain in the you-know-what. So to interview somebody like that for a person that I absolutely couldn't stand as a young kid, it's funny. It really is. But it's on a show that, with a guy that I'm not too fond of. But nevertheless, I love him, and I'm going to tune into the show just because of Tim. So thank you, Tim, for joining us. He was fantastic. But let's get into it, okay? Because there's a lot of things going on in football right now. As you know, you do such a great job for All 22. You look at the league as a whole and the quarterback play. And honestly, this is not a year that you can brag about the quarterback play, because it hasn't been really good. Guys that you wouldn't expect in fantasy sports, like Sam Howell, to be third in fantasy points right now, or second in fantasy. It's ridiculous. And then there are guys that you would expect to be there are not. I mean, Justin Herbert, I mean, he's up, he's down. I mean, you Patrick Mahomes didn't have the year that he had last year. I mean, he's putting up numbers, but not the numbers he was putting up last year. What is it this year in your mind?
So it's actually very interesting. We had an episode on our All 22 podcast about this about 4 weeks ago now, I want to say, where we kind of dove into this because there was an interesting stat about red zone success in the NFL and how the red zone entry to touchdown conversion percentage in the NFL was the lowest it's been in like 18 years or something, by like a pretty significant margin. And part of that is in looking at just the performance of defensive linemen in general, defensive linemen and edge rushers, it's at an all-time high. It's the deepest it's ever been in the league. There's just so many, which is crazy to think about, these 6'5", 250, 60-pound athletes that run just as fast as some of these receivers out there. For some reason, there's just a ton of them in the league all of a sudden. But also at quarterback, the average age of a starting quarterback is the lowest it's been also in like a decade plus. So there's just sort of this just perfect storm of overall inexperience, higher end play at the defensive line position, and not a lot or not enough of quality offensive line talent to go around, which has always sort of been the case. It's always been, hey, it's so hard to find 300+ pound grown men who are athletic enough to stop these just freaks on the defensive side of the ball. They're always in demand. But in the last few years, the supply of those defensive freaks has gone through the roof. The quarterback age has gone lower. And it's just this perfect storm of just really defenses starting to, in a sense, just gain a little bit of ground after years and years of rule changes and all these different pointsy, new offenses and RPOs and everything that's made life easier for the offense. The defense has really kind of stepped up and really gained some ground back on the offensive counterparts in the league. So it's really interesting to see. But I think inexperience overall is a big part of it.
So one team that's made a lot of noise this week with the headlines, at least, is the Buffalo Bills, obviously losing to the Broncos.
Have they ever.
They fire their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. I thought it was a good move because I thought he was holding them back for a while. Then obviously Trevon Diggs and Stefon Diggs, they run their mouths.
The Buck Buddy brothers.
So what are your thoughts with the Bills, both from a fantasy perspective now that with the new offensive coordinator and also just their playoff outlook this year, if they have any?
Yeah, I don't want to say that, the outlook is bleak when it comes to the playoffs just because Josh Allen can turn it on. We've seen it. So that's always a possibility. I'm not writing them off yet. There's still 7 games now with the new 17 games. Who knows how many games anyone's playing anymore, but so there's definitely still a shot there in a window, but I do think everybody got a little bit ahead of themselves saying, hey, Josh Allen figured it out. This guy who coming into the league was a bit sporadic, inaccurate, turnover prone. Yes, he had a couple rocky years, and then all of a sudden he really hit his peak and was among the top 3 to 5 performers at the position for a couple of years. Everyone just kind of, washed their hands and says, oh, yep, that's it. He's one of the guys in the league now. And what we're kind of seeing is just a regression to the mean overall. I don't think that offense helped him out much either, just stylistically and just the things they're running. There's just no easy outlets for him either. So for someone who has a propensity to try to play Superman, there were times that he had to be Superman in order to make something happen, more so than he should have. So yeah, I just think we all got ahead of ourselves in crowning him as a no-brainer elite guy, as opposed to someone who has that elite ability and can go on those elite stretches, but still has some of those just core issues or weaknesses or blind spots in his game that we saw coming into the league. I like Joe Brady, but I think at this point, unless Josh Allen goes on one of those runs, I think he and the rest of that staff are just dead men walking, and it just kind of biding time. I think not only do they have to make the playoffs, I think they have to win 1, maybe 2 playoff games to stay out there in Buffalo and kind of keep that whole staff together, because right now it's not looking good.
We are talking to co-founder of All 22 Premium Fantasy Football, Ray Cotto. Ray, you look at the league and everybody's trying to figure out, especially in fantasy, if you're playing fantasy football, there's so many questions. Chubb gets hurt early in the season, and then the Browns, they bring in Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford turns into a fantasy god, early when he took over, and then now Kareem Hunt's starting to pick up the game. And you're trying to figure out who the elite running backs are when it comes to fantasy football. We know Christian McCaffrey is, but everybody else, I mean, Travis Etienne, he's good one week, he's okay the next week. He's good one week, he's okay the next week. We're trying to find Pacheco, he's good one week, he's bad 2 weeks, he's good 1 week, he's bad 2 weeks. We don't know the consistency of the running back position. What has stood out to you when it comes to fantasy at the running back position?
Heartbreak, pain, sorrow. just a lot of bad feelings. One name you didn't even mention that a lot of people were also high on coming into the year was Tony Pollard.
Yes.
And he doesn't look the same. Yeah, he had the ankle injury in the playoffs, and he just hasn't looked like the same guy. They're not exactly using him the same either. Everyone was high on Devin Achane, and then he had a huge game, got hurt. Saquon Barkley, still super talented, but he is behind like the worst offensive line and just a quarterback that can't complete a forward pass. I'm amazed he's still actually standing. So really running back is another one of those things where it's just bad situations kind of throughout. Even guys that Aaron Jones, everyone said, okay, he probably doesn't have a lot of years left in the league, right? Breece Hall. Another one. And, a lot of that maybe just because Rodgers, that whole offense kind of really just took a bit of a step back, as you would expect once Rodgers went down. But yeah, guys like Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, guys that, we were looking forward to big years from, hasn't necessarily happened. DeAndre Swift is another one. Up, one big game, and then next game they'll give 13 carries to, Kenneth Gainwell or something, or, Herschel continue just to vulture touchdowns with the tush push. So it's a lot of up and down and inconsistency at the running back position as a whole. And with that, I think we haven't seen too many teams, or we haven't seen any new teams kind of go away from the bell cow role. Right? I think we're a few years into the whole, most teams don't just give one guy 25 plus carries a game anymore. It's usually a nice 17-9 split or something between running back 1 and running back 2. But those running back ones that get the 17 carries aren't scoring many touchdowns. I mean, Joe Mixon, I think finally for the last week or two is finally seeing the end zone, as opposed to finishing with 11 carries for 32 yards and 3 catches for, 28 and no scores. So it's a mess, man. Jahmyr Gibbs, huge bright spot. I was high on him. I have him in a few leagues. But again, with Montgomery coming back, you think that from here on out, Gibbs has earned a good enough share to where he will be a top 12 running back every single week. But we need to see it for 3+ weeks or so before, at least me personally, until I'm confident in saying, yes, he's for sure a guy that's like a no-brainer. I can put in my lineup and I'm just good to go, right? Because there's guys that are like that talent-wise, but maybe their situation hasn't allowed them to be that guy. Josh Jacobs is kind of another guy like that, right? Where the Raiders offense has been teeter-tottering, and now they got a coaching change, and they kind of had a bit of a spike here and there. In recent weeks, he's done pretty well, but it's always a bit hit and miss. So it's a real balancing act week to week at running back. You're really not sure what you're going to get.
There's really a spike in recent weeks. One of them has to do with playing the Giants, and the other one has to do with playing the Jets. It's not exactly ideal.
Oh, I don't know if it's a spike or it's just terrible football.
Yeah, those weren't great games to watch.
You don't have to tell me, okay, Ray? What are you trying to make me even more sad to be a Jet fan? I mean, seriously, I want to throw up every time I watch my team play. Offensively, I'd rather watch a peewee football game, okay? That's how bad it is. I mean,
yeah, but Rodgers might, do the impossible.
Oh, stop. I don't want to see him come back so he gets hurt and tears his ACL, and we'll never see him on a football field again. Let's wait until next year. Let's figure out what this offense is. Maybe you fire this guy and fire that guy, and maybe we'll fly next year with the defense that they have. I don't know, but it's not something I'm going to stick out and say, hey, you know what? I can't wait until Aaron Rodgers comes back, because when he comes back, he might be in the gutter or might be Swamp Thing when he comes back.
Maybe the Jets assign Jordy Nelson to play quarterback for the rest of the year.
Oh, please. I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous. When you bring Trevor Siemian, when you had a chance to bring in anybody, you could have brought Matt Ryan in to be the backup quarterback. That would have been better to watch than watch that idiot play quarterback for the New York Jets. And everybody knows who I'm talking about. That's Zach Babyface Wilson, okay? I'd rather watch a garbage man throw garbage into a garbage disposal than watch Zach Wilson throw a football, okay?
It's garbage. I don't want to hear it anymore. He's got a great arm. He can run. He can do this. You know what? I could probably eat crap if you ask me to. Does it mean I'm going to do it? So it's just, I can't. I don't even want to express my feelings to watch what I want to watch, football and New York Jets football, because it's, their nickname is Gangrene. I'm getting gangrene every time I watch their offense play. There you go, Speedy.
So I'll ask about your team, the Dallas Cowboys. They've had a lot of impressive big blowout wins, but they've also had some close losses too. Got blown up by the 49ers, which was not ideal. And losing Trevon Diggs on defense, their defense has not been the same in the secondary depth as a whole, even though some guys, Deron Bland, Gilmore, still played well. So what are your thoughts on the Cowboys' long-term trajectory?
The Dallas Cowboys are schoolyard bullies. And normally when you talk football and these guys are schoolyard bullies, you think, oh yeah, that's a rough, tough team, rough, tough defense, right? But they're the schoolyard bully that when someone just as big as them steps to them, they just falter and cower and go away, right? As soon as someone stands up to the bully. So they will beat the Giants by, 50 points, in a given week and look out of this world against the Rams, right? But then the San Francisco 49ers will come in and just blow them out of the water. They did play, on the road, a very close game to the Eagles. And I think what eventually came back to bite them was that one fatal flaw that every Cowboys team, despite or regardless of how talented they are, always seems to have. And this year, it's how Jerry Jones loves to sign injured players to long-term deals at discounts, but then those injured players are not the same, and then they come back to bite you on the field, which is what happened with Terrence Steele, giving up over 9 pressures on his own to the Philadelphia Eagles and just single-handedly self-destructing that entire offensive unit when they had first and goal from like the 6-yard line with 30 seconds to go and looked like they were going to pull off the impossible and come back to win that game. So the Cowboys kind of are what they are every up year. They look great when they hit their peak, but there are some fatal flaws in there that they're going to have to navigate, and you just can't trust them to actually do it until they do. And you could say it's an unfair standard, but it is one of those things where we know they're going to be playing playoff football in January. We just have to wait and judge them on how they perform in January. That defense is championship level. I think in streaks, that offense is championship level too. They just have to put it all together. And again, you hope that those guys that they strapped some money to while they were injured, thinking that they were getting great deals on, aka Terrence Steele and Michael Gallup, don't hamstring that unit when push comes to shove. And judging off of recent history, they will. And you hope not, but that's what usually happens.
There is a team in the NFC that likes to whack footballs, and they like to whack it in different ways. And their fans like to whack footballs too, because they were running out a quarterback who's a Hall of Fame quarterback, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks in this era, and that's Aaron Rodgers, who's now I don't know what he's doing with the New York Jets, but he's enjoying himself on the sidelines. But nevertheless, they have a quarterback in Jordan Love where everybody was like, oh, this guy is the next big thing. He's the next Brett Favre. He's the next Aaron Rodgers. He's the next Bart Starr. And we've watched over the last couple of weeks, even though he's been a little better over the last week or so, he's been okay. Still, the Green Bay Packer fans are sitting there and saying, well, he wasn't that bad. And now, before 2 weeks ago, they were throwing him in the waste paper basket saying, he sucks. I don't know what we were thinking. Now, all of a sudden, well, we might have something again. What do you think of Jordan Love? Honestly, when you watch and you calculate the possibilities of what the Packers could be 2-3 years down the road.
Oh, it's so tough because you don't know. And I think that's the worst place to be in the NFL is you don't know. He hasn't been bad enough to where you completely just say, throw him out. We'll just have to draft a quarterback in the next year or two. We know that's going to be our plan. And then we can move forward from there. He hasn't been at that level, but he hasn't flashed enough to where you're excited and go, okay, yeah, this is for sure our guy. So what do? It's purgatory, and that is the worst place to be in. Take it from a Sixers fan who endured, 7 and 8 seeds for years on years before going through the process and the NBA hijacking that and then whatever.
Hold on, you're a 76er fan? What
yeah,
are you, nuts?
Yeah. I'm all over the place.
So I guess you were very happy about James Harden, were you?
Yeah, to see him go. It's very 76ers to finally have an athletic wing player who's not 38 years old play well to start the season, and then he gets hit by a car. So there's that. Hope Kelly Oubre gets well soon, but it's just very 76ers. So
well, it's not too far-fetched with the New York Knicks either.
Yeah, exactly. You understand.
We got a guy named Julius Randle. We call him the bricklayer. So
we had a guy in Kristaps Porzingis that liked to jump off of boats and get hurt,
and also try to win a piece of the New York Knicks organization with him and his brother, and flees and goes somewhere else and can't stay healthy. So and he'll probably win a championship with Boston one way or another. Makes me sick to my stomach, by the way. But yeah,
exactly. So, in any event, back to football, right?
Yeah,
so, purgatory, worst place to be in. Push comes to shove, I don't think Love is the guy, and that organization as a whole has not drafted well enough to where you can withstand trying to figure out your quarterback position over the next 2 to 3 years and then making a run. They just have not drafted well enough. They have a couple defensive pieces, but realistically, the best player on offense is a 28-year-old running back in Aaron Jones. They have, I think it's like 8 or 9 first-round picks on that defense, and maybe 3 or 4 of them have worked out. So they've invested a lot of high-end capital in that defense, and it's a hit-and-miss unit. So I don't think long-term Love is going to be the guy to take them to where they want to go. So I think their 30-year-ish run of Hall of Fame quarterback play has come to an end, and they're going to have to start over probably in 2025-ish or so, I think is when you really hit the reset button there. But I think they're going to have to hit the reset button.
And then Jordan Love will go to the Jets and, and suck even more. That sounds like the New York Jets organization. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I wanted to ask about the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a very well-rounded all-around team, but except for the wide receiver position, because all their wide receivers have dropped a lot of passes.
So overrated.
Their defenses play very well. Their offensive line is great, but their receivers are dropping everything. Are you concerned about this going into the playoffs against a team like the Ravens who have a good defense? Jacksonville has a good defense, teams like that?
Yes, slightly, because they still have Pat Mahomes. And so you don't need the receivers to be great or even good. You just can't have the receivers be what they were when they played Detroit week 1, when Mahomes was hitting them in the face mask with these absurd passes that we've come to just expect from him, and they still can't make the play. I think Mahomes is the only quarterback in the league that can truly pull a unit like that and drag them to victory against high-end teams, because even those other contenders, while they may have some great defenses, they have some flaws themselves, right? I mean, the Ravens, we've seen this story with them in the playoffs too. For the Lamar Jackson years, they get there, and then when they play those playoff teams and those high-end defenses, that offense is a bit figured out. They can't just move the ball as easily as they were able to during the regular season, and they kind of stall out, and they just don't advance. So yes, it's a concern, but there is no other sort of juggernaut on the other side of them. Could the Bengals become that team now that Burrow is presumably much healthier than he was at the start of the season? Yes. I think they're really the only one, though, that can really present that challenge and really get that team against the ropes, because even with weak wide receivers, I mean, Mahomes is going to turn those games into shootouts, and you just can't bet against him. And if you are going to, really take that chance and bet against Mahomes in a shootout, I don't see how you do it with anyone other than Joe Burrow and that roster in Cincinnati.
We are talking to co-founder of All 22 Premium Fantasy Football, Ray Cotto. In the beginning of the season, San Francisco was everybody's favorite. Oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Oh, look at that. Oh, Nick Bosa. I mean, look at this defense. And look at this offense. I mean, Brock Purdy is the next big thing. He's the next Tom Brady. Let's jump for joy. Then with all these injuries, you sit back and you wonder, hey, is Brock Purdy really that good? Maybe he just is overrated. He's just a system quarterback, and he's efficient. Well, he comes back, they're healthy after the bye week, and they put up big numbers, and they're back to normal. Brock Purdy's the real deal. We're going to win a Super Bowl. And all these San Francisco fans have a stick up their ass, okay? So let's sit here today, and let's look at this team as a whole, okay? They bring in Young, fine, great. He's not going to be there next year. They need to win this year. You look at this team as a whole, their defense is definitely Super Bowl contending. You look at this offense, yes, if you stop Christian McCaffrey and you make them one-dimensional, I do not believe. I am sorry. I like Kittle. He's injury prone. I don't even know if he'll be healthy 100% by the time they get to the playoffs. Deebo Samuel, love the guy. Can't stay healthy. Never can stay healthy. Brandon Ayuk is a great player. Are they gonna pay him in the offseason? Are they gonna be able to afford him in the offseason? These are all questions that only Brandon Ayuk can answer, or maybe Kyle Shanahan after he chokes again in the playoffs. Where do you see this team? Do you think that this team is a contender? Honestly, when the Eagles are where they are, and there are other teams maybe sneaking the Lions.
Yeah.
You know, there are teams that could sneak in and just completely bust them in the lip. Bust them in the lip and knock off this team and make them one-dimensional. Do you think they're for real?
I do think they are for real. I don't think Brock Purdy individually is for real, but I do think, despite everything else, I do think Kyle Shanahan, if someone wants to make the argument for Andy Reid, fine. I think Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFL.
Oh my God, why? I loved you, man. I loved you. Now all of a sudden you got me all, ticking. This is not a ticket tape
He's
parade.
been scarred by Kyle Shanahan so much as a Cowboys
You want to put him on your shoulder? You want to dance around with him on your shoulder? There's more than welcome. Right? We could sing Hava Nagila or whatever the hell you want to do. I do not think Kyle Shanahan could win anything in a big game. This guy has choked in the Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator and as a coach with the last, fourth quarter where he has one of the best running teams in the league. And he says, you know what? I'm going to throw the ball every single time against you. I'm going to beat you that way. The guy does not know how to win a big game. And I don't want to hear from Jeff that did he win the NFC title game? That's a big game. Yeah, Jeff, you could shove it up your butt. Winning a big game is winning a Super Bowl. That's when we say he can win a big game. So I'm upset at you, Ray. I'm really upset at you.
Listen, just making the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback is like beating Mario Andretti in a drag race with a Toyota Corolla. Like it is
I could. You just hit into him. You hit into him, and I get out of the car and I just race him to the finish.
Sure, there you go.
He's old man, Andretti.
I think he still got it.
You think he could outrun me? I don't know. That maybe he does.
Actually,
maybe he probably could. That old bastard.
It's Brock Purdy is that same guy that really threw that like hilarious interception like off of his back at Iowa State in the flat to absolutely nobody for a pick six, like lose a game that they had pretty much in the bag. He finds what that quarterback does well. If it's one thing and it's like, hey, Brock Purdy has the timing just down on back foot, middle dig over. He's got it. He's money. And that works for the majority of the time. The problem is once you get to the playoffs, you have to have that work every time. Otherwise, your quarterback on his own is going to have to do something for you. And Shanahan's just never had that guy. So I think they're for real only because all of the other contenders in the NFC, you could point to something and say they're flawed. I mean, Jalen Hurts is not playing nearly as well as he was last year. That's a flawed player right there as well. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge it or are choosing really to just kind of ignore it right now because they're 8-1 or whatever their record is. But that's a flawed team too that has a tough schedule coming up after last year. Even their playoff schedule might have been the easiest regular season schedule in the NFL. And then, up to this point, a pretty below average strength of schedule as well. And it gets much harder from here on out. So the Eagles are flawed. We've talked about the Cowboys and their flaws. The Lions, that the back end of that defense is still not great, and they still have Jared Goff. So you can point to any of those top 4 NFC teams and point out their flaws. And as we just kind of discussed with the Chiefs, they've got their own issues. So I think it's just sort of emblematic of how the entire league doesn't have that one true juggernaut team. There is not that, prime Belichick Patriots team that is just a clear step ahead of everybody else, or the Chiefs when they had Tyreek Hill to go along with Pat Mahomes, who are also just a step above everybody else. It's like these 6 teams, at the top of the league, they're all kind of just vying for a position. And when you think you've got them figured out as the top team here moving forward, they kind of take a step back to the rest of the pack. I just think it's that kind of year where really any one of 6 or 7 teams can kind of come out of this thing, and it wouldn't surprise me.
I knew it. You're a Swiftie. I figured he's a Swiftie. You heard that, Speedy? We found another Swiftie.
Are you a Swiftie in that sense, or a DeAndre Swiftie for fantasy football?
I have never been a DeAndre Swiftie.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he's a Swiftie. He's a Taylor Swiftie.
He's a split one for the fantasy community. I know.
I
that.
figured.
That's why.
I mean, the Kelseys are Swifties. Everybody else is Swifties. And eventually, everybody in the league is going to be Swifties. We'll praise Taylor Swift. She'll marry Kelsey, and they'll have a million other. They'll have a whole offensive line. Starring his brother Jason Kelce.
The Giants just sign all of them now and groom them now.
I knew it. There you go. Ray Cotto.
Anyone can be better than Evan Neal at this point.
Oh gosh, that's a brutal name to throw out there right now. That's I feel bad for Giants fans for that one.
Well, that's Joe Shane. That's maybe Bill Belichick decides to get fired. Or the Kraft family decides to give him some I don't know, macaroni and cheese and tells him to hoist away, and he goes to the Giants and rebuilds that Giant team into a Super Bowl contender. I don't want to see that as a Jet fan, but you know what? Knowing the Jets and the luck,
except for the Jets,
and you have the devil or whatever the hell, Satan, telling you if Joe Namath is not dead, they're not winning nothing. So I guess I'm going to sit here for the rest of my life wondering if I'm going to circle jerk before I get a chance to win a Super Bowl. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be a circle jerker for the rest of my life. There you go. Hey, see, Ray, now you can learn something. Every time you get a chance to come on the show, you say, Errol, you're a circle jerker. You're not going to ever win a Super Bowl. You're going to sit here every single year wondering, hey, you know what? We'll bring guys out of retirement and hey, maybe we'll get lucky with that guy. Or maybe we'll bring in a coach that thinks he knows more than I do. So by the way, I think Robert Saleh is on his way out. So thank you to Robert Saleh for giving us his 4 or 5 years of garbage. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
He tried really hard, man.
Boy, did he ever. He decided, hey, you know what? Zach Wilson's our future. Oh, great job, right? And by the way, Mike LaFleur, he's such a great offensive coordinator. Yeah, we're going to get him. Yeah, he's an offensive coordinator, right? So is his brother, Matt, who's going to lose his job at the end of the season, too, because he can't win without Aaron Rodgers. So good luck. Congratulations to the LaFleur family.
Maybe it's the curse of Adam
Maybe we'll
Gase.
bring Matt LaFleur to our team, and he becomes our offensive coordinator and really even suck even more. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, you have Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur can start fighting again.
I do
Can you please promise me that if Aaron Rodgers comes back and the Jets are in the playoffs, that I'm on this show before the playoff game?
I promise you. And I'm going to tell you, when he does come back and he tears his ACL and his career is over and they say it is very Jet-like, I'm going to sit here and say, you know what? After the show, I'm going to do what I do best. I'll circle jerk.
Your partner, Chris, who we had on about a month and a half ago, is a Packer fan. And,
yes.
So maybe we'll have to bring him on, too. We can make, if Matt LaFleur comes on the Jets coaching staff.
There you go.
Funny.
We'll have fun.
Then again, I don't know if Matt LaFleur comes on the Jets coaching staff, would they make the playoffs?
I wouldn't even want to. I wouldn't want to interview Matt LaFleur anyways, because the guy's a complete ass and he's an idiot too. He sits there and thinks that he's a quarterback whisperer. There's only 2 quarterback whisperers in the NFL. There's 2 of them. Actually, there's 3 of them. Randy and Mr. Andy Reid. I call him Randy Reid because he's Andy and he's Randy. I mean, he's about the size of 2 men. So, and you have Kyle Shanahan, who is definitely a quarterback whisperer, and there is Dable, who I think is also a quarterback. That's it. Everybody else, shame on you. And North Turner, you were a quarterback whisperer, but boy, oh boy, as a head coach, you sucked. Okay, so I don't want to hear his crap. I read some of the stuff that he's posted over the last couple of years. That guy's out of his mind too. I mean, he needs to go to a home or something. His wife can't control his stupidity on social media. So thank you.
Ray knows what I'm feeling. He was coached by Jason Garrett.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Who's supposed to be a quarterback?
I like Jason Garrett, by the way.
Yes, you're one of the rare defenders of
I
Jason
like
Garrett.
Jason Garrett. I mean, he wasn't good for the
He's not a
Giants.
Cowboys fan.
No, I'm not a Cowboy fan. So
I know that's why you love him.
I love him because he's probably the best offensive coordinator the Jets have ever had. I mean, the Jets haven't had an offensive coordinator that good. I mean, it just tells me one thing: how bad are the New York Jets? So.
Right, you have to. I know you're a Cowboys fan, so this is a little bit of a sensitive one. But what team loses 3 win or go home games in a row, 3 years in a row? It's only been done to the Cowboys.
Ray, I got a question for you. Name the last offensive coordinator that came from the New York Jets that got a head coaching job.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Nobody from the last 25 years. So it just
Good.
tells you where the Jets
I was
are.
hoping that was the answer.
It's been horrible. Let me tell you something.
No, nobody's hired Adam
Ah.
Gase yet. Maybe the Raiders will be stupid enough to do it at some point.
Man, I've taken more dumps in a day than the Jets have scored a touchdown in the last 3 weeks. Okay, so it just tells you what the Jets are as an organization offensively. And thank you to Robert Saleh for giving us that wonderful press coverage that he gave us after the game against the Raiders. It was fantastic. Something I'll never forget. Well, it's not just him; it's all of us. Steph, thank you for telling us. It's been the Jets. What do they call that? Is their slogan?
Jets.
Their slogan is, well, it wasn't him, it's all of us. You know what? Then trade them all. Get rid of the whole freaking team. Let's start over. I am tired of watching this garbage. It is garbage. I honestly, I'd rather eat a banana than watch the New York Jets.
The Jets' last offensive touchdown was a 3 yards.
Speedy likes bananas, right? You like dark sausages.
I do like bananas.
But you like dark sausages.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yes,
Which one? White? Or, Ray doesn't know.
I'm sure Ray has done this before.
But Ray's
been on our show multiple times.
Yeah, but you tell him why you like spicy sausages.
I like the flavor of it.
There you go. You see, he likes the flavor.
All right, now let's go back to bashing the Jets. The Jets' last offensive touchdown was a 3 yard running back outplay that the Giants forgot how to tackle. So yeah.
Listen, when we study that Jets defense, their corners are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a really good defense overall,
100%.
man.
It's fantastic.
It's a shame to see them wasted. They quote unquote embarrassed everybody they played.
They're the best
except for Dak
defense in the
Prescott.
league. I think they're the best defense in the league. I really do believe that. It's sad. We'll never know how good they really are because the offense is so bad.
Yeah, that's just the breaks, man. I mean,
thank you.
You could be a 2-loss team if not for the injury. That's unfortunate, but he's coming back and he's gonna ride in as the White Knight and save you guys, and you're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, with the flag, and then 5 plays later, he's sitting on his ass and he tears his Achilles. Hey, it's Aaron Rodgers. He never gets hurt. He hasn't been hurt in 4 years before he tore his collarbone. Yep. He broke his collar. All of a sudden, 4 years later, he's a Jet. He rolls out there on the horse with the American flag. Biggest watch Monday Night Football game. 4 plays later, Achilles tear. He's out for the season. Great, Jet-like, wonderful. This is great. I mean, seriously, it is Jet-like. I am so disgusted. I don't even know if I even want to sit there and want to make excuses for this team. Honestly, it's just horrible. I would rather sit and watch. I don't know who's worse than the New York Jets. Who's worse right now in the NFL than the New York
Giants?
Oh, the Giants. I would rather watch Tommy DeVito
from CBS to Fox, and there you go. You find the worst team.
There you go. I'd rather watch Tommy DeVito play because he actually came out the other day saying that his mother still does his bed. That's great. That's great television information. Wonderful. The guy doesn't do his own bed. He probably doesn't wipe his own ass. This is great.
So you could see the difference in maturity levels. Tommy DeVito has his mom do his own bed, and Zach Wilson tries to get moms in his bed.
There you go. He likes to sleep with mommies. I mean, seriously. And by the way, his mom, she's great too. I mean, watching her on social media, she doesn't shut the hell up. I mean, you might as well stick one of those big black sausages in her mouth, Speedy. What do you think?
As long as they could get her banned, just like Eli Apple's mom.
Well, there you go. I mean, she doesn't speak anymore. She canceled her Twitter account.
Good
so
riddance.
Good. I mean,
now I just got to get her son down.
What a last name, Eli Apple. I mean, does she bob for apples?
I would hope not. Maybe.
What do you think? Maybe she bobs for your apples.
No, I would not let anyone in Eli Apple's family get involved with that.
Oh, there you go. So maybe if we ask Zach Wilson's mom and Eli Apple's mom if they want to bob for apples, maybe you will be the king of the apple
I will
burning.
not get anywhere near that.
I mean, I'm kind of sold for it. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. You could actually see Zach Wilson succeed at something because it's not throwing a football.
Well, he's not good at that. He's not good at throwing toilet paper. He's probably not good at sex. That's why his girlfriend left him. So, I mean, we're good with Zach Wilson. I mean, all he could do is he could be a Calvin Klein model, and maybe we dress him up like his mom. He'd probably be a pretty good, sexy Calvin Klein model as a woman. So, thank you. Maybe he'll be the next one. So thank you very much.
Anything's better than having Eli Apple try to be a
I'm sorry,
Calvin
Ray.
Klein
I'm kind of lost tonight. I sit here every single show and I try to find a reason to stay a Jet fan. Okay. I do. I sit here and everybody keeps telling me I'm a front runner because at the age of 11 or 12 years old, I decided to not be a Ranger fan anymore. I drove myself out of being a Ranger fan because of Van Beesbrook being traded. And then we had Neil Smith on another show that I was on, and Neil Smith gave me the reasons why he traded Van Beesbrook. And I sit there and I say, well, maybe I could be a Ranger fan again. But no, that's not going to happen. I got to be a poor Islander fan for the rest of my life. So, it's Errol-like, any team that I root for besides the Yankees, even though they haven't won in 13 years. And we have Brian Cashman coming out and throwing everybody under the bus, including himself. So, hey, you know what? We're great. So, I mean, being here in New York, it's great. It's just great to be a New York fan, man. Ray, you as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I'd rather be a Dallas Cowboy fan right now than any other team. So, thank you.
Yeah, careful what you wish for with that one. But maybe you should root for like Ohio State or Michigan or something, and
I'm a Florida
bring
State
those
fan.
guys down a peg too.
I'm a Florida State fan. I grew up a Florida State fan because in the 90s, they were a pretty good football program. They're playing good football right now. Maybe they make the playoffs this year, but hopefully they don't get guys like Jameis Winston that likes to steal crab legs because that they're good at. I mean, anybody that I root for or any team that I root for, something comes out or some crazy thing comes out. And then I'm like, why am I rooting for this team?
There's only one quarterback that Errol hates more than Zach Wilson, and that's Spencer Rattler.
Oh, my God. I can't stand that kid. Oh, my God. Oh my God!
If the Jets
I've never
Spencer
seen.
Rattler, he will not be a Jets fan anymore.
I'll tell you this: if Spencer Rattler ever gets drafted by the New York Jets, I will go to MetLife Stadium. I will wait until he actually has to walk into that building, and I will choke that guy, and I will send him back where he came from. Okay. I cannot stand that kid. QB1, him and his family, nothing but just selfish. Thinks that he is too hot to handle. You know what? I'll send him a gift. I'll send him a piece of garbage. I'll send him the crap that Jeff was supposed to eat. Okay. All right. And he can eat that because that's all he's worth. Anyways, Ray, we love you, man. Keep up the good work. I'm sorry I just went all over the place. I'm kind of lost tonight, but it was a good show, and you're fantastic. I love what you do with All 22 Fantasy, and keep up the good work. You and your partner, you guys are fantastic, and I don't know if anybody has never checked them out. Well, then you guys are missing out on some of the best coverage when it comes to fantasy sports. So keep up the good work. We'll get you both on soon, and then we can make fun of Zach Wilson even more. So there you go.
Looking forward to it, but I'm glad I could get you to, get a little, what is it? Cathargy? What's the
I mean,
correct
you're
word?
good
Get
with
that
the
out of
words.
you,
I mean, you're good with the words. I'm not, my vocabulary is kind of lost on that, but I understand what you're saying. I don't think it's that kind of word. I think it's more like, you got me to open up the dumpster. Okay. And it smells really rotten. And by the way, hopefully I can shut it and forget all about it until next week when I'm really going to throw up. But thank you. Thank you for giving us all the, the coverage that you do, and keep up the good work. And we'll talk to you really, really soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Had a good one.
Ray Cotto. Fantastic. He really is a good kid, and he knows his stuff too. I say he's a kid because he's 32. I mean, I'm 41.
Younger than you as a kid. We know.
Listen, I'm an old man. I mean, I'm 41, and people probably, when I tell people I'm 41 years old, they say, hold on one second. You're not old. You're still pretty young. It's like, yeah, well, I don't feel it. Okay. I mean, I take care of myself, but my limbs are hurting me. I mean, definitely can't do what Tom Brady did. That's for damn sure. But who do we got here?
All right, we got a phone call. Ray, thanks for joining us.
Ray, you're the best.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
What do we got?
Who do we got on the phone?
We have a phone call from who at this late at night?
Oh, it's Joshua. It is Joshua. What's up, Josh?
I just drove past Albany. Boy, what a dump! Oh my God! You know how you're up here when there's no lights anywhere on the freaking highway. Jeez, I mean, does it exist? Do they know what power is up here? Are they all Amish or whatever?
Well,
my God,
they're probably Amish, But
by the way, great interview with Tim Hardaway. By the way,
thank you.
Fantastic. You guys have been keeping me on this drive. Literally, I have another hour and a half. before I get there.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't.
Incredible.
I really can't stay on for an hour and a half. I mean, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to take a dump, man. So I've been holding it in the whole time, man. I'm squeezing my cheeks right now.
Winning the Cy Young, at least you got that.
No, are you really serious? I mean, Jeff is attacking Spider Tack. Well,
of course he is.
You know, I mean, come on.
Because I never listened to the show this late. Arrow, you're all over the place tonight, man. You have anger, frustration, and everything. And listen, I can respect that. Although I do wish you were a Ranger fan again. That would be wonderful.
I know that's what all the Ranger fans are probably.
Well, then that'll make people hate you more than they already do. So it works out perfectly.
They hate me, period. It doesn't matter if I was a Ranger fan, I was a Detroit Red Wing fan, or heck, I'm a Boston Bruin fan. They'll still hate me. So I'm happy for it. Thank you. Thank you for
You can't be a Bruins fan because Jeff won't ever allow that.
And either will your father, by the way.
It's not gonna become a Bruins fan just because you're a father.
Well, I mean, I will say this: the show on Friday, like I said, I'm not going to be able to do the show Friday, so it's going to be interesting with Eric and Lyle doing the show together. Which they're supposed to have a meeting together, and I was supposed to set that up. So I have to do that at some point. Oops. Besides that, I can agree with what you were saying earlier. And by the way, when Tim said about Craig Carden, I laughed my ass off at that.
Well, I didn't want to throw him under the bus. I mean, I'll listen to the show because of him, but Craig Carden, oh my God, that guy is a real winner. Let me tell you.
Kudos to you for not saying it.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
But I will, I know you were talking about the Jets a little bit and everything like that. Look, everything that you're saying is 100% accurate, and I agree with you. I think Rodgers with this offensive line, and I'm surprised, by the way, you don't want Mekhi Becton back. I am a little surprised.
No, I don't want him back. Nope. Elijah Vera Tucker and Tippmann, that's all I want back on that offensive line.
Healthy. That's the thing. I mean, it's 2 straight years in a row he's missed the season. So we have to keep that into all accounts. But there was something that came out today, and it drove me nuts. They were interviewing Izzy Abanikanda today, and some Jet player behind him, it was off camera, screamed out, "Respect to Michael Carter." And I said to myself, are you serious? You're going to really do this to this kid in his first interview as if it's his fault that Carter got cut? Bro, Michael Carter stinks. He hasn't been good since his rookie season, where he had a good year. The bigger concern I'm having is, and it's like you said, I know Breece Hall can't run the football right now because the offensive line is so bad. But what I'm just trying to figure out is this. Now, if Wilson has another bad game this weekend, we can't seriously just throw him out there another week. Because here's the thing. I feel like you're not just being unfair to the offense. You're being extremely unfair to this kid. Because now you're just throwing him to the wolves at this point where it's just not even fair. And I think Robert Saleh is doing a disservice to everybody by doing that. Because the kid's confidence is already shot. And I don't know if this closed-door meeting for the offense only is going to help. But you really you can't keep throwing this kid out there because here's the problem. You're being unfair to this kid at this point. Because the kid, listen, we know what he is. We know who he is, his personality and everything like that. And I'm not sticking up for the kid, but he is still a human being.
Is he?
He is. I would like to think he is.
He's like a tortoise. He's like a tortoise. He's more like a turtle, okay? And he likes to hide in his shell, my friend. I that's what I think he is. I don't know if turtles know how to have sex, but obviously I've never seen a turtle have sex. Have you? So I mean, he likes.
I mean, maybe you could possibly find it on Twitter. I'm sure somewhere.
Maybe on YouTube, or maybe I should look on YouTube.
Yep.
I'll call the turtle.
Yeah, you probably have to be 21 and over to watch. I guess you can watch that. You just have to be cautious where you watch it.
Don't tell your son that.
Oh, please, that's a whole other. But the reality is this: if you're Salah, and you really want to help Zach Wilson out, if he stinks this weekend against Buffalo, which, listen, we all expect him to not play well, right? I think we can all kind of assume that's going to happen. You're doing a complete disservice to this kid, because all you're doing is throwing this kid out there to the wolves. He knows his teammates don't like him. He knows the fans don't like him. He knows the media is going to relish this. Why are you going to constantly play this kid if you know with this confident shot already, what is that going to accomplish? It's not going to accomplish a damn thing. Robert Saleh talks about being a player's coach. You consistently playing this kid and watching this kid crap the bed every week is not going to do anybody any favors. You're not. You're just making the kid feel even worse than he already does. And I agree with you. Listen, the reality is this. Once Rodgers got hurt, that put a kibosh on the season. Because let's also look at it in this perspective. Let's talk about the buddies Aaron Rodgers brought in. And I know you alluded to it earlier. Randall Cobb sucks. Alan Lazard leads the league in drop passes, sucks. Billy Turner, garbage. Is Aaron Rodgers having a say in this kid playing the game? Because the reality is, and I said it on the show with Eric last week, and it goes back, and Aaron, I told you this on the phone in our conversation. All you have to do is go back to that press conference and watch Aaron Rodgers tell Woody Johnson, quote, I thought the owner was supposed to shake my hand and welcome me to the team. And Woody goes running up to the stage and shakes his hand and laughs and smiles with him and everything like that. And we saw all that happen. And then that's when I said Aaron Rodgers is the owner of this organization. Done. So is Aaron Rodgers having a say in Zach consistently playing? That's what and by the way, and I love Pat McAfee's show, man. I'm tired of Rodgers being on every single week, dude. It's pointless. When you come back. You're not giving us any information. Oh, I'm going to be back with the team full time after Thanksgiving. Great. Congratulations. That's great. Good for you. I don't care. You're not on the field. You're not doing anything. You're supposed to be this guy that's supposed to be on the sidelines that motivate this team, and yet nothing is getting accomplished. All you have to do is watch Aaron Rodgers the other night against Vegas. Hackett called a play on 3rd and 1, and you see Rodgers shake his head no, and he's mumbling to himself, I hate this play. That's all you needed to know. That's it. So I asked, maybe Aaron Rodgers should call the plays on offense. I don't know.
Maybe you should.
But again,
maybe you should.
I think it's. I mean, listen. At this point, we could dig Helen Keller up from the grave. Maybe she should do it at this point.
Maybe I should just, moon everybody on national television, and it'll get everybody on the defensive side of the ball.
You said the Jets are on prime time. I think the game's at 1:00 this week.
4 o'clock.
Or 4:30.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. So at least they're now. Like I said, going back to that whole thing. You're not doing any favors for this kid, right? Just keep consistently playing him out there and everything of that nature. And by the way, the numbers speak for itself. The offense is actually worse this year than when LaFleur ran the offense last year.
Yeah, it's been bad.
The numbers show it. It's worse. But what's the common denominator? How is it that when LaFleur was here, Joe Flacco was fine, Mike White was good, Josh Johnson even had a good game against the Colts. What's the common denominator of this whole thing? It's Zach Wilson is the problem.
Man,
there are freaking lights in this goddamn upstate. I'm not even kidding. This is bull.
Hey, you're the one who wanted to go upstate. You're the one who wanted to enjoy yourself at your Holiday Inn.
Geez, do you believe in lights?
No.
I mean,
they believe in cows. You want to go cow tipping? I'll meet you up there.
No, you go to Wisconsin for that. That's what you go to.
No, I actually went out east to go cow tipping. I could tell you a funny story. That's pretty funny. I'll never forget. I tried to cow tip one time. It was pretty funny. It is. You know what's so funny about you go all to these farms and stuff like that, and you see all these animals, and as a kid, you're like, oh, I wonder what a goat feels like when you pet it. And I said, when I was a kid, I was like 20 years old, and I actually at one point did drink a little bit, and my stupid friends took me out to like a farm out east. I don't even remember where it was. It was like in Quag or something like that. And I'll never forget. My friend told me, he's like, cows fall asleep standing up. And I said, no, they don't. And he says, yeah, they do. They fall asleep. And this was before Tommy Boy came out. Okay, so this has nothing to do with Tommy Boy.
Great movie, by the way.
Yes, nothing to do with it. So they take me to a farm. I'll never forget this. And I climb over the fence, and I'm stupid. I'm dumb enough to do it. And I climb over the fence, not realizing, okay, that it's just not cows in this farm area. Okay, there are bulls. Okay, so I didn't see it. Okay, I didn't see anything. So I'm walking. I'm sneaking up. They have the lights flashing at the cow that they want me to tip. All right, they had it on it. So I'm going up and I'm crawling, like trying to go up. And they told me, this is what you do. You level your body to the cow, and you don't shove it. You kind of nudge it, between the hips. Okay. So I'm standing there and I'm like trying to figure out, okay, where are the hips? Where this thing standing there? It's like, I don't know. All of a sudden I hear, and I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the hell is going on here? And I'm like,
just let you know, the story's better than watching the Jet offense. Just
yeah.
you know.
And I'm looking around. All of a sudden, I did start something, and I'm looking around, and one of my friends are on the thing. He's pulling over. He's like, "Get out of there! Get out of there!" I'm trying. I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" I'm trying to crawl up this fence. This thing is running after me. All of a sudden, I fall over. I tip over, and all of a sudden, you see the friggin' thing smash into the fence. And all of a sudden, you hear something. "You crazy kids, get the hell out of here!" And I jump into the car. I drove off, and I was this close to being hit by a friggin' bull. Okay, true story.
Last week?
No, this happened. No. This happened when I was 20 years old. I was 19, 20 years old when this happened. I'll never forget it. I shit myself, just so everybody knows. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and then the whole time I had to, just so everybody knows, driving home, I did not keep the underwear. I actually took the underwear off, wiped my ass, and threw it out on the road, and then pulled up my pants. Yeah, come on, man. Who wants to sit in crap, So, true story.
Well, silver lining, the Knicks won tonight.
Oh, hallelujah. Wow. They beat the Atlanta Hawks. Good for them.
Well, it's not like the Islanders are winning anything.
Please, I don't want to get into the Islanders. Please, that's another disgrace of an organization.
Does Lyle think they're making the playoffs?
I think Lyle probably thinks that the Pope is going to be the starting center of the first line in the future. So I mean, Lyle thinks a lot of things. I love the guy, and I really appreciate him and letting me help him grow his his show and stuff like that. But Lyle, thought that the Islanders had no chance or didn't have the money for Alex DeBrincat when they did. I mean, I keep yelling at Lyle. It's like, at least if they had Alex DeBrincat, we'd have something to watch. I mean, this stuff is just, it's hideous. And by the way,
it's kind of, not to get off subject, but you kind of knew the Edmonton game, right? First game with a new coach in Knobloch, which, by the way, congrats to him. Great hire. Great hire by Edmonton. By the way, Speedy, you know this. I think I said the two guys had one on the Rangers. One is Laviolette, and if you wanted a young up-and-coming coach, it's Knobloch.
Yeah, that does sound familiar.
That would be the two guys. And Knobloch earned this opportunity. And Errol, you never responded to me, by the way, a couple of weeks ago.
What was it?
When I asked you the question, I said, why does Lay Lambert look like Dracula?
You want my answer to it? Because he's been a bloodsucker since he came to this organization. Okay.
Well, I said this to you years ago when I said that.
Dude, everybody says a lot of things about the teams that I root for. I don't want to believe it until it just pops into my head and say, man, this guy's a retard.
Washington did this with Trox, dude. He won a cup. He left.
By the way, I'm sorry to cut you.
And then they go and they hire the honors hire his assistant again. and he stinks.
I just want to. I don't know if he's listening, and he probably isn't, and I'm happy that he isn't. For an Islander writer, for all the Islander fans listening to this show, to Stephen Rosner or Stefan.
Oh boy,
Stefan Rosner.
Oh boy,
who was part of our network years and years ago, and I grew up. I mean, I forgive and forget. I don't know what's up your ass, and probably something hard and long. Speedy, is it you? No. Okay, I'm just asking.
He can't be. Speedy can't be the guy.
No, I mean, somebody could. I mean, somebody must be slamming him in over there because he's got a stick so far up as you know what. He won't even come on a show and have a conversation with me. Forgive and forget, my friend. As far as your writing is concerned, stop being biased. Stop being an Islander guy and actually look towards what this team and this organization is. And this organization has a GM that's about 80 years old who probably has weighed out his welcome. They have a slick back, patty whack of a coach who tries to be Barry Trotz and he's not. And then they have guys like Casey Cizikas who's sitting out there trying to make all the excuses in the book. How about finding a captain to actually put the puck in the net? How's that? I don't know.
To something to Casey Cizikas, you should probably learn from Evan Neal. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't question the fans.
No,
that would be the best option.
And by the way,
Neal wishes he was that good.
By the way, Speedy, I want you to cut. Speedy, I want you to cut this out because I'm going to send this to Stefan Rosner. Okay, I want this sent to his Twitter page. I want this to set still for him, my friend. For all the stuff that you do for all the Islander fans, okay? For everything that you think you do for the Islander fans, grow up, stop being biased, and come out with a good story instead of all the crap that you came. Alex DeBrincat is going to be an Islander. Where is he? Oh, I'm sorry. He's in Detroit. Everything that comes out and comes from your mouth and your writing has been absolute bogus crap. Grow up. Learn what you're writing, because obviously anybody that follows you and actually listens to you is an idiot. So you can take that to the bank, sell it, wrap it up really good. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Okay? And that's what I'm going to say about Stefan Rosner. Thank you. AK all the way.
I'm going to let you guys go. Errol, call me after the show.
Yes, sir.
And I will talk to you guys soon. Speedy, I will talk to you next week. And listen, keep up the good stuff and everything like that. I would love to get Neil Smith on my show. Still hasn't read my.
Yeah, well, hopefully, he likes.
Neil tweeted today.
What happened
today? He tweeted today.
Oh, did
Neil
he?
Smith.
Well,
yes,
maybe he doesn't look at his Twitter as much as.
I don't know. Well, it was basically about Patrick Kane not coming to the Rangers, which, by the way, thank God. So.
No, Neil.
Okay.
Neil's a Hall of Famer.
If there's any veteran Ranger I want back from last year, it's Tarasenko.
Yeah,
I don't want anybody. I don't want Patrick Kane. I don't want that. Okay, no, stop. And by the way, if the Buffalo Sabres, if that story's true, he signs a 2-year, $6.5 billion deal. Good luck and God bless to the Buffalo Sabres for giving that guy a 2-year deal with a broken hip. Good luck. And that's what the Buffalo Sabres do.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful hockey.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I will see you later.
Thank you, my friend. Drive carefully. We'll talk. Oh, man. There we go. We didn't really get through all the stuff.
We didn't get through like half of the stuff.
That's fine. We'll get to it tomorrow. I mean, you have to, find the stories. So we have 3 stories. We did have. We did. We went through 3 out of the 6 stuff that we got into.
Half, like I said. Half.
I mean, you didn't say we didn't even get through half. We did.
I said we got through half.
No, you said we didn't get through half. That's what you said.
3 out of 7. And then we have 7 stories.
Get that sausage out of your mouth, man. I mean, if you're going to eat it, you better eat it good and you better eat it quick,
That's not happening.
That's for you, Stefan. There we go. Anyways, it's been a great show. Thank you to Hall of Famer, point guard Tim Hardaway, our new friend. Okay. Yes. He's a new friend. I mean, there's no hatred here. We love him. maybe he needs to find another show to get on, but that's a whole nother thing. But thank you to Tim. We really do love him. Thank you very, very much. And also all 22 Premium Fantasy Football, co-owner, co-founder, Ray Cotto, for joining us. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you, obviously, to my man Mike for joining us. Thank you to Matty Caps for joining us. Thank you to Josh for joining us. Thank you for all the fans that tune in and listen to the show throughout all the different streams and streamlines that we're on. We appreciate you, really do, and I hope everybody enjoys the show and enjoys the craziness of the show. I only try to be who I really am. This is who I am, and I hope everybody understands that I'm not going to change for anybody. So, again, Speedy, you have anything to say before we go?
Yep. Tomorrow, Bilal Powell, like we said earlier, will be coming on. He'll be on at 8:30, and then at 9:30, return to the show is Phillies and Eagles Spanish language broadcaster Oscar Budahen. We had him on after the Super Bowl.
So remember him? Yeah,
and he'll be on at 9:30.
Yeah, we'll talk about some Philadelphia Phillies baseball. He was there. I'm sure he was tuned in. I'm sure he was tuned into the Super Bowl last year as my Philadelphia Eagles, because at least I have a second team that I root for that actually.
Yep. Once Spencer Rattler gets drafted by the Jets.
As a Jet fan, everybody says, "Well, do you root for anybody else?" I mean, I had to. I mean, my team never made the playoffs, so why not Philadelphia? I mean, I was a Donovan McNabb fan, so and I got a chance to meet Donovan, and Donovan was very gracious, and it was the only one of very few players that I would take a picture with. I'm not one of those guys that'll sit there and say, "Hey, let's take a picture." I'm one of those guys that probably turn around and take a picture of my ass. Speedy, you like to do that?
No,
right?
I do not.
Oh, well, you don't wear any underwear.
I don't care.
Oh, okay. So see, he doesn't care if he wears underwear or not.
I don't care if I look at anyone's ass.
Well, you want to look at my ass right now? I'll show everybody what it looks like. I mean, it's nice and clean, and it's all ready to go.
Congratulations.
I mean, I don't want you to touch me there. I mean,
I don't want to see it.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't want to see yours either, because
I'm not encouraging you to see mine.
I mean, Manscaped would definitely work for you.
That's irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant. It's
irrelevant. I'm not showing it.
Hair over
I'm
there.
not showing it.
I don't want to look at it, but
I'm not showing it to anyone, not just you.
But I think it would be good. I think everybody would understand what you are and what type of person you are.
There's no correlation.
You are a virgin in every kind of way.
Zero.
I mean, zero to what?
Correlation.
Correlations to what?
My who I am as a person.
Well, you are a person. There's no question that you are, unless you're a ghost.
Okay, I'd rather be a ghost than deal with that.
So if you're a ghost, why not pull down your pants and show us what you're working with?
I would rather not.
I mean, it's nobody will see you, so it wouldn't matter.
Okay, so I'm not going to care.
Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm just asking you questions, and I'm trying to get answers from you.
And you're not getting any.
Well, I actually did. You did answer the question.
Yeah, and you're not getting that requested response that you were hoping for.
The request of the response comes to a response of a question, right?
Congratulations. You still didn't get the one you were hoping for.
Is it a yes or a no?
You're not getting it.
Is it a yes or no?
No, I'm not doing any of that.
But is it a yes or a no?
Nah, it's a no.
All right. Well, it's a yes. It's always the opposite with my friend Speedy. Anyways, thank you to the fans. We will be back tomorrow. Bilal Powell, everybody else, craziness as always. Got a lot to talk about. We missed on quite a few subjects, but and by the way, Draymond Green, please, no more Snapchats. I'm done with it. And we'll be back tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.